Happy Wednesday.
Today, on the Vince Ellison Show.
It's my man
Vince.
Vince.
I see in my comments all the time when people saying, there's no difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. They all the same. You always talking about the conservatives and the liberals. They all the same. No, there is a difference. And I'm going to articulate these differences in a way that a fool can understand it. Today, on the Vince Ellison Show. You always talking about Republican and Democrat. How bad the Democrats are. Republicans just as bad as the Democrat. There ain't no different in the Democrat. And because, whenever I do these shows, I'm usually hitting the Democratic Party. I'm talking about how bad they are with transgenderism and illegal immigrants and the dope in the fight. They're not crazy. They're not tripping. And the Democrats ain't that crazy. Republicans just as bad as Democrats is. Blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, right now, I'm going to show you. Take you back to Elson University again. Give you a civics class on the differences in the Republican and the Democratic parties. Okay? On the differences in the Republican Party was formed to stop slavery. Formed. The first pieces of civil rights legislation, if you care about that, was passed by the Republican Party soon as the Civil War was over. They passed the 13th Amendment, which ended slavery. They passed the 14th Amendment, which gave you equal protection under the law and citizenship. Then they passed the 15th Amendment that gave black men the right to vote. Got it? Okay, good. They even passed the 19th Amendment and gave women the right to vote. Yeah, the Democrats were against it. The Republicans pushed it through. Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
That's what you care about? Fine. How did the civil rights stuff get overthrown? Democrats and the Supreme Court back in the 1800s overthrew all the civil rights laws. Democrats ushered in Jim Crow. Yes, they did. Separate but equal. If you're mad about that, be mad at the Democrats for it, okay? If you are concerned about the Civil Rights Act, which I am
Granted,
not,
good morning, pretty.
but if that's your thing, you think Democrats passed? No, they did not. All the Southern Democrats voted against the Civil Rights Act, okay? Percentage-wise, more Republicans voted for the for the Civil Rights Act than Republicans did. Yes, they did. Lyndon Johnson signed it. But like 87% of Republicans voted for it. About maybe 61, 62% of Democrats voted for it. That's just a fact. So if you are concerned about the Civil Rights Act and all that kind of stuff, yeah, the Republicans passed it. If you like affirmative action, guess who passed affirmative action? Richard Nixon passed affirmative action, all right? Yeah, he did.
Good morning, Drex. Good morning, good morning.
But forget all of that.
Good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Good morning.
The Republican Party and the American Party
Welcome back.
Today. Because you say there's no difference? Let me give you some of the difference. All right. Let's talk about abortion. The Republican Party's stance is pro-life. Donald Trump put pro-life judges on the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade, and the Democrats lost there. Man, them jokers out in the street fighting, burning up stuff. That's when white folks started riding, man. You don't see a white folks riding in America. You see black folks riding, but them white liberals went crazy. They're just in the streets just screaming. They cutting babies up, and that's just weird, ignorant stuff. Shout your abortion. They believe in abortion up to the 9th month. Democrats believe in abortion up to the 9th month. So you want to talk about the difference, dog? Difference number one, abortion. Write that one down for you stupid Democrats, okay? Number one, abortion. Number two, biggest difference, transitioning children. Donald Trump made that known at his State of the Union. He had this young girl there who was transitioned without the mother's permission and asked the people, if you agree that the children should not be transitioned without their mother's permission, please, but the parents' permission, please stand. No Democrats stood on it. All the Republicans stood up.
Good morning, Tim. Good morning, good morning.
See the difference? Difference number two. Democrats believe in transitioning children without parents' permission or knowledge, or transitioning children, period. Republicans don't believe in that. Now listen, y'all. As I told you before, there's this mistake that people always make with me, thinking that I am two things, either Republican or preacher. I'm neither. As I said before, I drink and cuss too much to be a preacher. I don't get drunk. I don't get drunk. Everything done in moderation. Let me make that perfectly plain. I don't even get tipsy. I don't think a preacher's supposed to drink at all. But I drink a little bit. But for a preacher, that's too much. And I cuss. You know why? Because I am an honest man. And sometimes I just got to tell you how I feel about you, and the only way to describe you is with a cuss word. If you don't like it, like Ali said, we got to get it on because we don't get along. That's all it is to it. So, yeah, sometimes that's the only way I can explain myself about how I feel about a situation or a thing. So I'm not taking up for the Republican Party because I'm not one. I'm just giving you facts. That's my point, okay? I'm giving you facts. So Republicans don't believe in transitioning children. Matter of fact, the state of Tennessee, which is a Republican state, made transitioning children against the law, and Joe Biden and the Democrats took them to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled that they could make transitioning children illegal. The Democrats took Joe Biden and the Democrats took Tennessee to court to try to make illegal transition children. That's how sick these suckers are. Number 3.
Sick. Thank you. Good morning.
Men and women's sports,
Thank
men
you.
and women's bathrooms, men and women's locker rooms, women's prisons and shelters, and dorm rooms in colleges and universities. Democrats are for all of that. Yeah, when little Sally goes to college, she may have a joker in her room that look like me. How you gonna like that, Mom? Dad, you walk in, Sally's going to UVA. Y'all happy she's leaving home. She said, Dad, meet my roommate, Vince. And I said, oh, Father, how are you? Vince, what you doing? Vince, what you doing in here? Well, I'm actually a woman. And I'm Sally's roommate. Vince, can you prove that? I say I am, so I am. I'm like God, I am that I am. Man. Yeah, Democrats believe in this. So when you send your little girl off to college and you see a joker that's 6'2", 235 pounds in the room with her, you can't say nothing. Republicans don't believe in that. They believe men are men, women are women. Your gender and your birth are signed by your DNA, and that society should act accordingly. In the animal kingdom, we can tell the different sexes by certain natural characteristics. You know, with the lion, the male has a mane, the woman does not. Deers and things, you can tell size. Men and women, you really can't tell. So how do you do it? By how we dress. We don't walk around naked, so we dress, and with our dress, we tell you who we are. I believe that when a man
White Drex, they get pregnant.
I believe when a woman dresses like a man, that's committing fraud, because we treat each other differently based upon those characteristics. We just do. We're supposed to. I treat a woman differently than I treat men. I better. My daddy will come see me. I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to treat my friend's wife differently than I treat my friend. I treat his wife with another layer of respect. And he better treat the women in my family the same way. If not, we're going to have a problem. Yeah, he might talk to me any kind of way, but if my sisters and my daughters come around, he needs to quiet that down. I don't have a problem with real men doing that. Now, if a joker can't do that, he can't be in my presence. So again, Democrats don't know the difference between men and women. Republicans do. That's the big difference there, okay? Difference number 3. Number 4, the Republicans don't believe in legal immigration. Democrats believe in illegal immigration. They made that plain at the State of the Union also. They believe that illegals and legal people have the same status. That's another big difference. Number 5, Republicans believe in freedom of religion. Democrats don't have any religion. They don't believe you have freedom of religion. You should not be able to practice your religion as far as they're concerned.
Preach.
They believe you shouldn't be able to pass on your religion to your children. They believe that's oppressive. Yeah. Democrats believe you shouldn't be able to pass your religion on to your children. Republicans believe in freedom of religion and that you should be able to pass your religion down to your children, to your posterity, and teach them in your ways and the ways of God.
All right, what does it want?
That's difference number 5.
It
Number
frees
6.
up.
Republicans don't believe in white supremacy. Democrats believe in nothing but white supremacy. A Republican will tell you, I am not superior to you. White supremacy does not exist. A Democrat will tell you, we must end white supremacy because white supremacy exists. The opposite side.
I've been called a coon, a bootlicker, a nigger, all from black people. Not one white person called me a nigger. Not one white person called me a coon, a sellout. None of that. Only black people have. And all those names came from the Democratic Party. All those names, all those talking points came from the Democratic Party, the Dixiecrats, Democrat. That's why I'm a Republican. That's why I'm a MAGA. Because the Democratic Party is a party of the KKK, slavery, hate, and division.
To white supremacy is black inferiority. So Democrats believe in black inferiority also. Republicans do not. This is why we don't believe in affirmative action and quotas and DEI and all that crap. We don't believe that black people are inferior to white people. So see that? We don't believe in DEI quotas, affirmative action, critical race theory. Why? Because we don't believe there's any difference in the races. We believe if you go out there and you compete, you'll do well. We also believe if we put a crutch up under you, that you'll be handicapped. You got to go out there and you got to compete. And if you're white and good, you'll make it. If you're black and good, you'll make it.
I support the American flag. But you get some people that's down there, black and white, especially the blacks, they love their Confederate flag. That's what they like. That's on them. I don't know. I don't live in the South. I live in Illinois. I live up north. My flag is an American flag. But hey, like I said, once again, you got black people down south that love that flag. So I have no opinion on that. Ask them.
The Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. Republicans believe that the rights of the people to keep and bear arms should not be infringed. The Democrats believe that you got to ask their permission before you can have a gun. They decide it's not a right to them. It is a privilege. And they're the ones that give it. So when you go to any big city, no matter how much crime there is, the first thing they're going to do is try to take the gun away from the citizen. That's the Democrats. And then, of course, the crooks go and steal guns and tear the whole gun place up. And you're in your house cowering behind the couch. The police are 75 minutes away. And they just out there like the Wild Wild West. Shoot up the neighborhood. Take them what they want. And then you got to walk up to the Democrat. Boss, can I have a gun to protect myself? No, get out of here. You say, ooh. Republicans believe that you have a right to buy a gun. You don't need to show no ID. You ain't got to ask no permission. You just give the money. Here's your gun. Because if a joker tell me this, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to
like and subscribe if you haven't already. Like and subscribe. Good morning.
Does a lion ask permission to defend himself? Does a rattlesnake ask permission to defend himself? Does a bumblebee?
Profo, when did the party switch? Which president when it switched with?
The Democrat Party man is the only joker that believes he got a right. He has to go ask somebody can he defend himself. Hell, even a dog don't ask permission to defend himself. You pull the cell, he gonna bite it. Hey, get back. Man, that comes from slavery. You gotta ask the boss man permission. So can I fight him back? Golly,
MAGA, baby.
So that's the seventh big difference between Republicans and Democrats. The right to defend one's self. Republicans believe you have a right to defend yourself any way you see fit. The Democrats believe you got to ask permission from them to defend yourself. Got it? Got it? Good. Then the biggest difference is the history of racism. Democrats started the KKK, Republicans stopped it. Democrats started the Confederacy, Republicans stopped it. Democrats had the plantation system, Republicans stopped it.
Thank you, Pretty. Thank you,
Democrats
Dex.
want you to have to come to them with unions to work. Republicans believe in the right to work. Democrats believe in lynching and killing folks. Republicans stopped it. Democrats believe in aborting babies. Republicans are trying to stop it. Democrats believe in killing jokers in the streets and crime. Donald Trump's sending in the National Guard to stop it. BLM, other side of racism. They ain't running around, they hate white folks. They Marxists. I mean, literally Marxists. I ain't talking about hyperbole Marxists. These suckers are stone cold communist Marxists.
What state you live in, pretty? Because here in Illinois, didn't ask no ID. My wife and I just gave him our name and address.
What about black lives in the womb? No. The black lives we say matter are the black lives that matter. And black lives in the womb don't matter because we say they don't matter. So the name of your group should be Black Lives that we say matter. And it's catches Black Lives Matter, so we're not going to say that. Black Panthers. Part of the Democrat Party. Nick Stokely Carmichael. I mean, that's racist. You got racists on both sides of the Democratic Party. Ain't that crazy? Why did they come to the Republican Party? Because the Republican Party don't allow racists. Think about this now. The Ku Klux Klan was part of the Democratic Party. The Nazis part of the Democratic Party. The Black Panthers.
Right here in Illinois, passing the gun law, way trying to take our guns away.
How them suckers get along at a convention, man?
Making it hard to get our guns, but easy for the criminals.
They hate Christians because they're all evil. The evil people can come together. Like a bunch of criminals. They say we're going to rob a bank. They'll come together for that. They will come together for something good. I mean, for something bad. Never something good. So they came together with one thing. They all hate each other. But who do they hate worse? The Christian. We got to come together to stop that Christian. And they will all put together all of their anger and all of their other crap in order to come and take the Christians out. And that's why us Christians need to stop fighting one another. And know that we have a common enemy also. And who is it? They all lay at the DNC, an evil institution. The devil has a bedroom at the DNC. If you want to find out where the devil keeps all his clothes and lays his head, you go to the DNC. Yeah, his lair is there. Express elevator to hell right from his bedroom, right there. Number 9, big difference between the Democrat and the Republican Party is school choice.
Pretty, really? You said the Democrat Party is more Christian than the Republican? Impossible. They don't know what a woman is. Oh, come on, Pretty, really?
Republicans believe in school choice. They believe parents have a right to decide where their children go to school and how their children is taught, how their child is taught.
So killing your kid, that's
hell no.
That's cool.
You have to be indoctrinated into our way of thinking. Why do you think America is almost an atheist socialist country now? Because the socialists have been teaching the school children for the last 50 years. No freedom of education for the Democratic Party. We've been pressing school choice legislation all over the nation. We got over half the states got some type of school choice bill now, vouchers and tax credits and charter schools. And all of that is coming from the Republican Party. Democrats are always trying to block it. So that's number 9, school choice. And the last but not least is we believe in work, they believe in handouts and welfare. They would rather give you $50,000 in government benefits to sit on the front porch and drink 40 instead of give you a job making $50,000 in the federal government. Think about that now. They will give you the money for free to do nothing. And you walk up to them, well, just get a job. It's always something to do. You cut the weeds on the side of the street, pick up the trash, paint the graffiti, take care of the elderly, take care of old people, cook, drive a bus, drive people back and forth to doctor's appointments. There's always something to do. No, because if he ever learned to work, we won't have him under control. He must always come to us with his handout. So, the last one, welfare and work. Now, if y'all think some more, put them in the comment section. But I just gave you 10 ways that the Republicans and the Democratic Party are different. So when you walk up to me and say, there's no difference between the party, the Democrats and Republicans are the same. You need to look at this, okay? Because I've given you abortion, I've given you transitioning children, I've given you men and women's spaces, I've given you illegal immigration and versus legal immigration, freedom of religion, white supremacy and black inferiority, the Second Amendment, the history of racism, school choice, welfare to work. Thank you for spending time today at Ellison University. Hope you learned something today. Take this and share it with all of your ignorant Democrat friends who always try to tell you.
Bro, I done showed you the video already. 5-minute video. That's not the truth.
Party. I did this as a community service because I am not a Republican. I just want the truth to go out. The Republicans got a whole lot of problems. They spend too much money. They lie too much.
Yep.
They play too much on the other side with the LGBTQ right now, and I ain't appreciating it. You got a few people in their party who are not pro-life, and they won't purchase. So their problems, they don't go into the black community because of the deal that they made, where they prefer to gerrymander these districts and they go ahead and sell there, and they allow these black Democrats to go into these black districts and just tear these people up, and they will not ever help anybody running in these black districts. I don't care what color he is. If he's a Republican, if he's running in a majority black district, they will give him no help. And so black people never hear the conservative message. And they are a socialist enclave, a communist socialist enclave, and a capitalistic nation. And they do not learn how to compete because the Republican Party will not go down there and spend any money educating these people on Americanism. They are still learning from black liberation theology and the stupidity of the black church and the civil rights movement, and they think it's canon and it's not. That's my problem with the Republican Party. So what I want you people to do is take this and use it, learn from it, stop telling that lie that there's no difference in the two parties. Look at each candidate. Look at where they stand on the issues. If you agree with them, vote for them. If you don't vote for them. A Christian should never vote for a Democrat. As bad as Republicans are, Democrats are 100 times worse. 100 times worse. Democrats are stone cold evil. They are the evilest institution in the history of the world. They're part of perverts, liars, psychopaths, anti-Christian bigots, thugs, hoes, and rappers. And I'm going to do everything I can to keep defeating them, and I'm going to do all I can because I'm here to wake you up. Hope I did you some good here today. So join. We have this thing. It's being taught in some of the schools now all over the country. It's called the success sequence. It's something that if you decide to do when you're young, you'll never be poor in the United States of America. The odds of you being poor like 3%. And this is it. It says the steps are simple. Graduate from high school, find a full-time job, get married before having children. And the Democrats don't want it taught.
The other thing that we do in our schools and we recommend in the report is that we teach something called the success sequence. If a young person finishes at least their high school degree, then gets a full-time job of any kind, so they learn the dignity and discipline of work, and then if they have children, if they get married first, that series of decisions, education, work, marriage, then children, 97% of millennials avoid poverty, and the vast majority enter the middle class. Success sequence has been studied by race, and it shows in the black community, the numbers are still north of 90%.
People, this is amazing. They are teaching this in
yes, they should. Taxes,
Alabama,
yes.
and in Tennessee,
Trades
and
too.
mentioned in Ohio, Indiana, and Iowa. They're advancing legislation. But this guy mentioned in his article, his name is, last name is Badolato, Badolato. He says that the formula, if we know about this formula or framework for success in life, I think we can present the ideas to them and let them grapple with it and see it. I think it feels wrong if we have this information as adults and withhold it from them, I mean the students. There's so much information here that's just telling children at an early age.
Subscribe if you haven't. Thank you guys.
Graduate
Happy Wednesday. Hump day.
Have a child before you get married. And don't have children before you get married. You'll never be poor in the United States of America. Even when it comes to black children, they're showing that close to 80%, if they follow that formula, will not be poor in the United States of America. Why do the Democrats not want this taught? Because they want you to be poor in America. This is how they keep you under control. If you get married and you graduate high school and you work full time, you'll have no need for them. So the Democrats are trying to block other states from doing it. And no blue states will teach this. No. This goes back to what I just told you about what Donald Trump showed the world about these people. That they are evil. They're not misguided. They're not mistaken. They know exactly what they're doing. The Democratic Party is the evilest institution in the history of the world. I told you that these people are ICE. Not the good ICE that are locking up these illegals, but the bad ICE, the ignorant, crazy, and the evil. 80% ignorant, 10% crazy, 10% evil. I got a little beat that goes with it. Is that ignorant, crazy, evil? Okay? Ignorant, crazy, evil. All right? Ignorant, crazy, and evil. Trump displayed it for you to see. As I've said to you before, the bee is not going to spend any of his time trying to convince the fly that honey tastes better than crap. He's going to eat his honey. He's going to enjoy it. He's going to go about his business. He'll tell the bee. The bee will tell the fly, hey, man, this honey is better. Fly goes, ah! Bee goes, bye. Trump displayed for the world to see that conservatism is better than liberal crap. We got this success sequence I just told you about that they're trying to teach. And the Democrats are trying to block it because they don't want children to learn it. Your poverty and your crime and your hatred for one another is not a mistake. These people are no longer, they're not the loyal opposition. They are traitors. Enemies of mankind. Atheists. Racists. Killers. Traitors. They're supporting Iran in the war right now. Hell, they might be over there right now. You put on an Iranian uniform, fighting American. They may be over there trying to shoot down our planes and stuff. See how terrible they are. Bring mad because illegals can't come up. They over there fighting ICE. Fighting ICE to keep illegals in the country. Somalians stealing everything. Illegals all over the place. They made it a sanctuary city. ICE comes and run them out, and they are just fighting ICE in the street. People, they are traitors. They're supporting Iran outside of the country, and they're fighting ICE inside of the country. They're supporting our enemies outside and supporting our enemies inside. Joe Biden allowed, I heard Pam Bundy said they have arrested, since she's been in office, 1,500 illegal Iranians in this country. Probably active sleeper cell, ready to be activated. They found over 150,000 minor children that were in the sex trafficking. Y'all have a decision y'all got to make. Trump's State of the Union was a masterstroke. I hope, and this is really hoping, because again, Republicans can't sell $1.50. All you got to do is take that part of the State of the Union and just loop it and play it in every election, in every district, and remind the people that this is who you're voting for. You're voting for a group of people who said they hate you. You're voting for a group of people that say they're going to let people mutilate the genitalia of your children without your knowledge or your permission.
And vote in our elections. They want them to vote in our elections.
That the only way they can win elections is to steal them. I told you that. I've been telling you that for a while. Why would you have to have a voter ID? You have to have an ID to do everything. To buy liquor, to get on a plane. They say, well, voting is a right. Well, having a gun is a right too. Try to go and fire a gun without showing ID. Hell, that's enshrined in the Second Amendment. The rights of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. A well-armed militia, a well-regulated militia, being necessary for the security of a free people. The rights of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The militia, a well-regulated militia, is necessary for the security of a free people. Not the police, not the Navy, not the Air Force. So
you cool with the government telling you what to do. So when it came to COVID, you was cool with the COVID? With the whole wearing the mask, you got to get the shot. You can't go to the movie theaters unless you get the shot, show your vaccine passport. What about that bullshit? You had to show a vaccine passport to go to a club, to a theater. That's the party I don't want to be with. In Illinois, we couldn't even go outside. Lori Lightfoot tomorrow, you go outside, she's going to call the cops. You couldn't even really barbecue. You had to hug your grandmas and aunties through a plexiglass. No, I don't like that type of party. When it came to the red states, it was all open. Benches was open. Everybody was moving around. Chicago, you got to stay in the house. That shit crazy. So I don't understand how you, as a woman, you cool with the Democrat Party saying, as a woman, you should be like, my body, my choice. What happened to that?
Yeah, you still have to show an ID to exercise that right. But when it comes down to voting, no, you know.
Yeah, I'm pure blood. No vaccine here.
You know why? Because they know that if you have to show ID, they can't.
Yeah, I know the Democrats, but I ain't gonna vote for them. I love my enemies. That's what the Bible say.
And they know it. So they're gonna try everything they can to stop the SAVE Act.
Oh, forever? That's on you. Also, yeah, pray to God on that.
That the LGBTQ community gives them a lot of money, and that the doctors and the psychiatrists who perform these operations make a lot of money and give kickbacks to the Democratic Party. And plus, they're evil and they hate children because they want to abort them and they want to kill them.
Right. Subscribe if you haven't, everybody. Good morning. Let's grow. Let's do it.
And then, man, you got the open borders. This is replacing you. The Democratic Party is a hodgepodge of misfits and perverts and atheists who hate Christians. They hate the WASP more than any Christian. The white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, that's the one they really hate. And then below them, they just hate just basic evangelical Christians, like people like me. They hate the WASP first. And they hate me just the old run-of-the-mill Christian. They hate me secondly. So they put us all in a box. And if they could put us all in a gas chamber and kill every last one of us, they would. The biggest mistake we make on the right is that we tolerate them. Well, we're the party of tolerance. Tolerance is a sin. You don't tolerate sin. And real men, let me give you this, and you keep it with you for the rest of your life. Real men do not tolerate evil in their presence. Ever. I used to know this when I was a boy. And it happens with me now. Jones be acting fool and carrying on, and when my daddy would show up, they stop. I can see some teenagers in a place acting up. Hey, boy, cut that mess out, and they stop. I see a man talking too loud to a woman acting a certain way. I just give him a look, and he cools out. Why? Because men are not going to allow evil in their presence. They're not. We have too few men now. They've lost all their virtue, all their respect, and all their standards. They want to be like the young people. They don't, I used to look up to men when I was growing up, man. They were men. You see them coming home from work, whatever they did, you looked up to men. You want to be a man. You want to be able to provide for your family, make money, and buy things. Because when you were a boy, your dad was giving you money. Then you start earning it. Then all of a sudden you take care of yourself. Another very thing, the standard that made men men, the ability to take care of themselves and take care of their children, that's been taken away by the welfare state. So the Democrats want to make sure it stays that way. They don't want this success sequence. They don't want you to straighten up your back and start acting like a man of respect, virtue, and honor. No, they want you bent back, walking in with your hand out, begging like a slave. Yeah, because they were the party of slavery. They want to keep you enslaved. They were the party of the KKK. They're the party of white supremacy. The lie that told you and made you believe that white people were better than anybody else. It was them. Always them. So Trump called them out. And the fact that they're fighting against this success sequence calls them out also. But we conservatives are going to keep on pushing this. We're going to make sure that our children are successful. We're going to make sure that the people close to us are successful. And the real strong men in the conservative movement are still not going to tolerate evil in our presence. We're not going to tolerate tomfoolery and chicanery and effeminate men. And allowing you a bunch of perverts to come to our household and corrupt our children. We're going to hold you to a standard. So President Trump started this with the State of the Union the other week. And it was a beautiful thing. And we're going to keep looping this. Because when Trump said, these people are crazy, that was the exclamation point. Yeah, they're crazy. I've been calling them that ever since I've been on this podcast and before. Now everybody's catching on. I told you, the ICE Democrats are what? Ignorant, crazy, and evil.
Okay, I got you.
You need to start calling them crazy and evil too. They're crazy and they're evil. But we're going to hold up our standards. We're going to be people of virtue. We're going to be people of honor. And we're going to make sure that we stay armed. So that when these evil people come our way, if they won't listen to reason, as my father said, reason for an intelligent man, but the God for a fool. And we're going to put them back on their heels. And I'm going to keep bringing this to you because I'm here to wake you up. Hope I did you some good here today. So join me again for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, friends, Vince Everett Ellison is here. I want you to go.
please.
Thank you. Mr. President, you've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be
Well, I
prepared
think
for
you
this
could say
war
it
to last
both.
for?
It's the beginning of building a new country, but they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar.
Like
They
and
have no
subscribe, everybody. Good morning. Good
telecommunications.
morning.
And they have no leadership.
He has done some phone interviews with several outlets, most recently talking to CBS News' White House reporter, I should say. And in that interview with Wei Zhejiang, he said, I think the war is very complete, pretty much. They have no Navy, no communications, they've got no Air Force. He added that the U.S. is, quote, very far ahead of the initial 4 to 5 week estimated time frame. And then with that, we bring in Danny Deunta. He has done some.
Thank you, Johnny Boy. Thank you, Johnny Boy. Appreciate
There
it.
is a lot going on.
Thank you, guys. Thank
with all
you.
of this,
Name is
including,
Deunta.
of course, the gas prices. Oh my goodness, the gas prices. Which I always find kind of interesting that, especially liberals and Democrats are crying and complaining about gas prices, considering how high they were for 4 years under Joe Biden. Kind of interesting how that works. It's almost as if, mainstream media is just there to work against.
They cheated Trump in 2020, y'all. Y'all see that? It's all on X how they cheated Trump in 2020 in Arizona,
that's even remotely negative about Trump,
Georgia.
and whisper about all of his successes, right? Shout his failures and whisper his accomplishments. That is mainstream media, and it's a darn shame.
Texas
It's a
Jay,
darn
good
shame
morning.
because mainstream media wasn't talking about gas prices this much under Joe Biden. No, not at all. Not at all. Gas prices were through the roof. Now I want to talk about. And
Thank you, Johnny Boy. That's what I'm talking about, man. Appreciate it. Good morning, Bruce. Good morning, Chat.
For you all, because
thank you guys coming back. Appreciate it.
But then they also tanked
from Ireland. That's what I'm talking about.
Had a report on. Check it out.
It's been a little bit of positive movement in the markets after the president told CBS that the war is pretty much complete. What's the latest?
Yeah, oil prices hitting their lowest level of the day after crashing through that $100 a barrel benchmark overnight, even reaching up to $115, $120 a barrel. Those are numbers that we haven't seen for nearly 4 years since the war between Russia and Ukraine broke out. But even though these levels have come down to about $85, $90 a barrel, still 30% higher than they were just a month ago. Markets obviously move very quickly, but what isn't moving so
oh man, how often have you heard them talk about how low gas prices have been? Bro, this is amazing, man. Oh my goodness. Wow.
So quickly for Americans, at least today, is that price of gas. People are showing up at the pump and
Johnny Boy,
realizing
this
that gas
you.
is costing about 50 cents more on average than it did just a week ago, and 40 cents more than it did a year ago when President Trump was newly in office. Of course, oil prices can change. They could go back up again, especially because so much of the world's oil, 20%, is really locked at a standstill at that Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the oil moves through, as oil tankers are simply stuck there, unable to move oil. The U.S. does have a good supply of oil. However, oil trades on a global market, and that's why you're seeing nerves. That's why you're seeing oil prices rise, and that's why you're seeing gas prices rise. According to Gas Buddy, we could see another 10 to 20 cent rise, and we could and will likely reach $4 a gallon here in the United States. But investors on Wall Street were also encouraged by that conversation. That
I got you.
Trump
I will.
Oh man. But also, Uncle Trump has talked about the Strait and told people basically, hey, buckle up. Take the oil on through there. I mean, you literally have the United States backing to get through the Strait. We've blown Iran to smithereens. They don't have much left. And if they do try to do anything, we'll bomb the crap out of them again. It's basically what Uncle Trump said. Because, of course, there's some tankers that are afraid to go through the Strait.
My drink of choice when I was drinking, it was Jameson, but I don't drink anymore. Next month, April 8th, would be a year that I stopped drinking. I never was an alcoholic, but when I did drink, I had my fun. But 43 years old, I figured go ahead and just quit. So I just stopped cold turkey.
But in reality, I believe we only get like 3% of our oil from through there, but I digress. Anyway, I also want to play this clip from Tim Burchett because I think it really illustrates what is actually going on here and how, some of these big oil companies are fiddling with the numbers here. Check it out.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. Just filled up the dually and diesel yesterday. I decided to do that instead of sending my daughter to school next year. But the reality is, they're ripping us off. Diesel is like the second cut they take off it when it comes out of the ground. It goes kerosene and diesel and then gasoline, and diesel's the most expensive. And I'm sure they can make some sort of...
That's what's up. That's what's up. Blessings, man. Blessings.
Another to cover themselves on that. Another thing that really ticks me off about it is that they've when the price of oil, like they say, well, it's this whatever happens overseas is causing this to happen. But then when you go to the hardware store or the auto parts store and you buy a quart of oil, guess what? The price hasn't gone up. The price of the gasoline in the tank is going up, and that's gasoline that is probably months from it was in the ground, and then it was converted into gasoline at a refinery. So the whole thing is just ridiculous. It's greed, and eventually we're going to come to a point in technology. So
with my channel, everybody is welcome. I'm a Trump supporter, American first. You guys not, it's cool. Everybody's welcome. I'm here to chat with you guys, learn, share, and share videos I like. We can go from there. If you're a bot, I'm going to block you out of that. Other than that, let's have some fun. Let's grow. Agree or disagree. Everybody's welcome.
They turning coal into oil and gasoline, as the Germans did during the Second World War. But guess what? The technology hasn't advanced since then. It's still cheaper just to get oil out of the ground than to convert coal, which we have a lot of. And how much oil does America get from Iran? Zero. That's how much. This is a scam, and these oil companies, shame on them. They're using this opportunity to make record profits once again. So, so you got to ask yourself, even if we were getting it, what about the stuff that's already in the pipeline, that's already been paid for, the gasoline that's in the tank at your neighborhood filling station? How does it go up exponentially when something happens overseas? It's a scam. Gasoline goes up like a rocket, and it comes down with a parachute and it never gets back down to where it should be. Technology, all that technology in the world, we're going to eventually figure out how to crack that hydrogen molecule and run our cars off of water, I think. I don't care what the scientists tell you right now. They tell you all this stuff. The man couldn't run a 4-minute mile, can't go 100 miles an hour in an automobile, you can't breathe. We're not going to go to the moon. Tim Burchett's not going to get elected to Congress. You hear all those things. Guess what? They happen. Anyway, thank y'all for sending me here. Pray for our country.
Shout out Tim Burchett, man. That's one of the good guys. I like Tim. I like Tim Burchett. But, what he was saying there made total sense. How were the gas prices skyrocketing because of that when we already have oil and gas here that are already in the pipes, gas already in the tanks under the fuel stations, right? Gas stations.
Thank you.
How is that already, the prices of that already getting
Let's get to 1,500 today, 1,500.
That's already been refined. It's already underground at the gas station ready to pump out. So why are they raising the prices? Just saying. I'm just saying. What Trump could do is do what Biden did and tap these strategic reserves. Now, of course, I don't think that he will, and he actually spoke about that. I believe yesterday about how Biden tapped his strategic reserves, and he's going to attempt to fill it at some point during his presidency.
Now, that would also be a problem for him because, of course, mainstream media would be blasting him to no other. Oh, my goodness, he's using the strategic reserves when they said absolutely nothing when Biden was doing it. Bro, our mainstream media is absolutely garbage. Absolutely garbage. I mean, we caught CBS, a CBS affiliate at least, trying to sabotage a CBS reporter's reporting on Iranian citizens being happy that Trump took out their leader. You guys remember that? If you don't, here's a little refresher. I got the clip for you. Y'all know I come with clips, baby. I know that's a little hard to hear because they're not talking directly into the mics. He's talking to the cameraman behind the camera. He gets allegedly gets a text from, one of his higher ups that says, don't focus on, the people behind you. Don't focus on the people celebrating. And he looks up at the cameraman and he's like, well, what does this mean? And he's like, well, I don't think they want us to focus on this. And the guy's like, all right, but I am. And then he goes on about his business, actually reporting on these people, Iranians, celebrating. That's our garbage mainstream media for you right there. Absolutely garbage. Now we got to move on to another topic of discussion, which is the bombing of the school in Iran, which leftists, of course, ran with to no other. I'm going to play what Trump had to say about it, and then I got another clip. I got some more that I want to show you about that as well, because it seems like it wasn't us.
Nope. Check it out. The military base right there next to the school.
Did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 175 people?
Based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hickson? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still
But
investigating.
the only side that targets civilians is Iran. We think it was done by Iran. They're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
And to that front, there's actually a video clip floating around of an Iranian missile that is like flying like crazy through the air. Let me see if I can find that video clip. But it's like it's like going all over the place. Matter of fact, here it is. Here is the clip of the Iranian missile, which kind of proves that it's plausible that it was them that did it to themselves.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Like, look at the trajectory. I mean, look how squiggly that is, Look at this. Straight down in Iranian territory. Bombed themselves. Now, this isn't, full disclosure, this isn't the alleged bombing itself, okay? This is a totally different bomb. All right, I didn't want to make that clear so nobody's confused. Oh, see, here's the actual evidence of the bomb hitting the school. Like, no. This is not the video clip. I haven't been able to find any video clip.
Not really, right?
This is not the video of the.
But the claim is the base is next to the school. Totally the military base is next to the school as well.
Just to illustrate how garbage some of their missiles genuinely are. I mean, this took off in Iranian territory and landed back down in Iranian territory. So definitely plausible that it could have been them themselves. Okay. Actually, there is a video of the alleged bombing, but I'm not going to show that. Now, I want to move on to something else here, and that is this. The regime in Iran has now confessed that the IRGC mistakenly bombed an Iranian school yesterday, killing many children. To all the legacy media and pro-regime influencers who peddled your fake news, retract and delete. All right. An IRGC aerospace missile hits a school in Minab County. I don't know how to say that. So, yeah. Allegedly, they admitted to it. So, I guess another hoax down the drain once again, huh? Another one. Anyway, Y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. As always, stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.
At this time, we need everybody to have their heads down and hands up. Heads down, hands up. Heads down, hands up. Heads down, hands up. I need to see everyone's hands. Heads down, hands up. Heads down, hands up. Heads down.
CNN trying to hide this, huh? This is a video clip that happened on the plane.
Scary moments there that we will get back to here in a second regarding DHS funding, of course. But before we get into that, of course, we got to talk about something that I'm sure you guys have heard about, which is the attempted assassination, all right, or terrorism, not assassination, the terrorist plot in New York City with a bomb. Take a look.
We were born and raised in New York, and we want everyone here to stay in New York. You don't get to come from outside and then tell everyone else.
Wow.
We were born and raised.
So as you saw there, one of the gentlemen ran up screaming the Allahu, you know what, all right, I'm not repeating it, as he threw a bomb. Here's another angle of the entire incident. That is him running back after he tossed that first one that you saw in that first clip. But then he grabs another one from his good buddy here. So there you go. You saw the incident and how it played out and how it went down there. But there was allegedly another one. Yeah, not one, not two, but three potential bombs that were found at the site. Here's some of that report.
The complaint sets forth the factual allegations supporting those charges. As alleged in the complaint, the defendants were inspired by ISIS to carry out their attack. There should be no confusion about what ISIS constitutes. It is a designated foreign terrorist organization responsible for deadly terrorist attacks across the globe and has taken credit for mass casualty attacks in Europe, the Middle East, and right here in the United States. And as alleged, both defendants have admitted that they acted on Saturday because of ISIS. As Qayyumi was being placed into an NYPD vehicle following his arrest, a person in the crowd asked why he had done this. As shown on NYPD body-worn camera footage referenced in the complaint, Qayyumi responded with, ISIS. And at the precinct,
Get this piece of shit up out of here. That's that bullshit right there. Trying to kill our American people because he don't like our American people. Take your ass back overseas.
after being advised of his Miranda rights and waiving those rights, Kayumi said in recorded post-arrest statements that he had watched ISIS propaganda on his phone and that his actions that day were partly inspired by ISIS.
They are federal agents.
The complaint also details statements made by Amir Balat after his arrest. En route to the NYPD precinct, Balat made spontaneous statements without being questioned by NYPD officers that were captured on body-worn camera footage. He said, "This isn't a religion that just stands when people talk about the blessed name of the prophet. We take action, as well as, if I didn't do it, someone else will come and do it." And later, after waiving his rights, he requested paper and wrote a message declaring in part, "I pledge my allegiance to the Islamic State. Die in your rage, you kuffar." Now, "die in your rage" is a commonly known ISIS slogan, and kuffar is an Arabic term that refers to non-believers. He also told investigators that he had hoped to carry out an attack even bigger than the Boston Marathon bombing, which he noted.
And this is what the Democrat Party's fighting for. People like him to come here. Stop it, man.
Resulted in only 3 deaths. These statements, as set forth in the complaint, make clear that this was not random violence. This was a planned attack.
Scary stuff.
Yep. Subscribe, everybody. Thank you. Let's get to 1,500.
But before we get into that, we got to get into Zoran Mamdani's comments because, of course, with these Democrats, it's always interesting what they have to say afterwards. Check it out.
We're home at the time. This was a vile protest rooted in white supremacy and the Islamic takeover of New York City.
How is that white supremacy?
I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home. While I found this protest appalling, I will not waver in my belief that it should be allowed to happen. Ours is a free society where the right to peaceful protest is sacred. It does not belong only to those we agree with. It belongs to everyone. I will defend that right every day that I am mayor, even when those protesting say things that I abhor.
Saw this video on X. I shared it with you guys. Why not? Charlie Kirk was ahead of his time. Rest in heaven, man.
This is one of Charlie Kirk's final warnings. Battle is coming to the West, and the enemies are wokeism or Marxism combining with Islamism to go after what we call the American way of life. And the American way of life is very simple. I want to be able to get married, buy a home, have kids, allow them to ride their bike till the sun goes down, send them to a good school, have a low-crime neighborhood, not to have my kid be taught the lesbian, gay, transgender garbage in their school, while also not having them have to hear the Muslim call to prayer 5 times a day. That's important.
Come on, man. You look Minnesota.
We want the American way of life, which is, by the way, Christendom. Christians, our sacrifice, our toil, our vision, the outgrowth of the scriptures gave us Western civilization. And this is where I think is a great rallying cry. Doesn't matter if you're Hispanic, doesn't matter if you're Asian, doesn't matter if you're black or white. Everybody, if you are Christian and Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, these 2 threats are combining forces to come after us. And it's time that the church stands and rises.
Hey, can I just add, there's nothing wrong with wanting that. Believing in the American dream, assimilating into American culture, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with talking about it. There's nothing wrong with desiring it. It's not a bad thing. Certainly not hate speech. It is what this country's founded on, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's not.
Let me also be clear about something else. New York City will never tolerate violence, whether from protests or counter-protests. Many of the counter-protesters met this display of bigotry peacefully, with a vision of a city that is welcoming.
Like and subscribe.
But if
Did you catch it? Did you catch it? He has no problem naming white supremacy. He didn't want to specifically name the terrorism. Kind of interesting how that works, ain't it? Kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. You know what else I found interesting? How all of these networks try their hardest to cover...
Subscribe.
Either cover things up or paint them in a completely different light. For example, CNN. As you can see here on your screen, this top post is the original post. It reads, 2 Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York City Saturday morning for what could have been a normal day enjoying the city during abnormally warm weather. But in less than an hour, their lives would be drastically changed as the pair would be arrested for throwing homemade bombs during an anti-Muslim protest outside of Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home. Interesting wording there. Interesting wording. They threw a bomb during an anti-Muslim protest? So you mean like some people who were anti-Muslim threw the bomb? See how they worded that? And how like the top part, 2 Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York as if it's like sunshine and rainbows. They skipped right on into New York. La-di-da-di-da. Yeah. Utter garbage. Utter garbage. These are terrorists. Terrorists. This is what they had to say in response. A post regarding the 2 individuals arrested for throwing homemade bombs outside of New York City's Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home failed to reflect the gravity of the incident, thereby breaching the editorial standards we require for all our reporting. It has therefore been deleted.
Damn.
Delete the whole network. How about that? Don't just delete the post. Delete the whole network. We don't need you. Okay? We don't need you. People like me, amongst others, exist because of the Communist News Network and BS Now's failure in actually reporting the news. People like me shouldn't exist. We shouldn't. I mean, we have what's supposed to be the news on everybody's television. You don't even need cable for it. It's on everybody's TV. People like me shouldn't exist. It's crazy, man. I want to get into a CBS report as well because they did the same thing. I want to show you guys this. Check it out.
Is investigating 2 men after an explosive device with bolts and screws was thrown into a crowd. It happened in...
They're going to show a MAGA. Don't do that.
Did you see it? Did you see it? We ain't even got to get into the rest of the video. Forget the rest of the video. It's a garbage report anyway.
Is investigating 2 men after an explosive device with...
That's not even them. That's petty.
As they're talking about these guys who did this horrific thing, throwing bombs at folks, this is the image that they put on the screen.
That's crazy. Subscribe.
Trying to make it seem as if it was a bunch of Trump individuals, supporters, who did it. Why don't you put the picture of the individuals on the screen that did it? Why put this image? With the clear Trump Vance hat. Like they could have chose any image. They chose this one. You don't think that was for a reason? Just to confuse people. To make people who are like casuals in, the political space or just news space in general, to make them think that this was a bunch of Trump supporters. It's subtle, but it's there. The image is right there on your screen as she's talking about these individuals. She could have put their pictures up there. We know what they look like. Garbage news, man. Garbage news. Absolutely terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Now, we got to get to DHS. Because, of course, it is the Department of Homeland Security.
Tonight, missed flights and ruined vacations as TSA staffing shortages throw spring break travel into chaos. Airports packed from Miami to Phoenix to Houston's Hobby
That's too
Airport,
long.
where even seasoned travelers like Claire Lee were shocked by the crowds this morning.
First time ever, and I travel the world. I've never seen anything like this.
Officials telling passengers
First time ever.
to arrive 5 hours early.
You got to arrive 5 hours early now because Democrats want to shut down the government. All the while, we have terrorists in our country throwing bombs at people. Take a listen to what Hakeem Jeffries had to say in response to shutting down DHS and the real motivation behind it. Because sometimes when you let Democrats speak, they'll actually tell you the truth.
Democrats continue to block funding for DHS amid these demands that there be changes to ICE and the president's deportation policies. Is the change in leadership at DHS enough for you and other Democrats to reopen the government to start to fund DHS again?
Well, again, let's understand, Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They've made an affirmative decision that they would rather shut down FEMA, shut down the code.
I got to stop him there. I got to address that. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Yeah, but in the Senate, you need 60 votes. We don't have 60 Republican senators. So if every Republican voted yes, it still would not pass. So Hakeem Jeffries, stop with your BS lying. Okay? We're lying by, I like to call it lying by omission, right? Because he's technically not lying, right? We do control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. That is true. But what he's omitting is that we need Democrats in order to move bills forward in the Senate. Democrats have been doing that for a long time, lying by omission.
It's insane, Texas.
Part of the truth, but not the whole truth. They'll tell you the part of the truth that makes their side look good. Oh yeah, Republicans control everything. We ain't got nothing to do with this. What? Really? Yeah, you do. Actually, you do.
Guard and shut down TSA as opposed to getting ICE under control. What we want is a situation where ICE is actually conducting itself like every other law enforcement agency in the country, as opposed to using taxpayer dollars to brutalize or in some cases kill American citizens.
So is replacing NOM a big enough step for you to get to yes?
No, it's certainly not. What we need is a change in policy, not simply a change in personnel. Now, Kristi Noem was a disgrace. She was totally unqualified. She was a pathological liar. She called American citizens domestic terrorists without any justification whatsoever.
Y'all call us deplorables. Y'all call us garbage too. All MAGA supporters, deplorables, insurrectionists. Wow. Timu Obama.
Dramatic, bold, meaningful, and transformational changes to get ICE under control. That's what the American people want to see. That's what we're working hard to deliver.
Congressman, there's a real concern that the Iran strikes may increase the terror risks here in the United States. Republican Congressman Mike Lawler of New York wrote this, quote, "Given the situation in the Middle East and the potential for Iran and its terrorist proxies to attempt some type of attack, it is imperative that Senator Schumer and Rep. Jeffries immediately drop all opposition to funding the Department of Homeland Security and pass the funding bill." What say you to that argument that this is about the safety and security of U.S. citizens?
Well, House and Senate Democrats have actually introduced legislation to make sure that every other aspect of the Department of Homeland Security is funded in order to ensure that we are protecting our national security, funding the Coast Guard, funding FEMA, as well as funding TSA. Unfortunately, Republicans have decided that they would block those changes from being put into place in order
trying to protect the illegals.
To protect and shield ICE from the type of accountability, the type of dramatic change that's necessary.
And that's crazy. I guess ICE need to have COVID to keep their mask on, because other than that, they want them to have their mask off. Yet you got people out here with no COVID symptoms, but they still wearing their masks in their cars by themselves. How you in your car still wearing your mask? People like that I don't trust, and they voting too. COVID over with, and they still wearing their masks. They want the ICE take their mask off. Shit crazy.
Things that we're asking to do that are common sense, like making sure that judicial warrants are required before ICE agents can break into the homes of the American people, ensure that there are...
These are federal agents. They're not breaking into homes. They're not kidnapping nobody. Stop using those type of words. And that's the problem. Those words right there trigger people. And they are getting kidnapped. How?
Independent investigations when
Good
ICE
morning.
agents break the law or even kill American citizens so that there's accountability. We want to make sure sensitive locations like schools and hospitals are protected, including other locations like houses of
dudes
worship
out of women's
and
sports, out of
polling
women's
sites. These are common
bathrooms.
sense reforms that are necessary in order to get ICE under control.
Leader Jeff.
Whoa. We can't let you slide there, buddy. You said sensitive locations like polling sites, but if
No, keep the federal agents at the polling site. Especially at a federal election, bring federal agents. That's what ICE agents are.
you're allowed to vote, then why are you concerned about ICE being at polling sites? And there, ladies and gentlemen,
Patrick, good morning.
he let it out. That's why sometimes you just gotta sit back and just let them speak. They'll tell you the truth eventually. If you just let them talk long enough, it'll slip out there eventually.
Because you're an American, ICE ain't gonna bother you.
Be concerned about
Especially get your ID to prove that you're an American citizen. So why ICE gonna bother you or even intimidate you?
Exactly.
Not yet, Patrick. Almost there. 1,500, almost there.
Straight out of his mouth. Straight out of his mouth. Goodness gracious. Anyway, as always, thank you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it.
This is coming from someone who has never had to fight for anything in his life, who grew up in
A plan to taxing the rich.
Find another way. There's got to be another way.
So, betrayed New Yorkers are taking to the streets and to the steps of City Hall to protest the mayor's new tax increases, which he promised would only affect the rich, but now appears squarely aimed at working class voters already struggling with an affordability crisis. So the mayor can fund his swath of free programs, which will be open to just about everyone, even if they're in America without permission. And as this takes shape, some people are predicting New York City's experiment with communism is going to transform this place permanently.
Tenants, local officials, and organizations alike took to the steps of City Hall with a clear message. It comes weeks after Mayor Zohran Mamdani put out a plan to close a $5.4 billion gap in the city's budget.
That's why Campbell was
They voted for it.
homeowners from Southeast
Now they complaining.
It turned out for what they say was an emergency response to the mayor. Do your job as mayor and leave our taxes out.
This is coming from someone who has never had to fight for anything in his life, who grew up in privilege and wealth.
There's no restraint. They just come to us as if we're an ATM machine.
She says the Mamdani tax act, if it comes to fruition, will affect her tenants too.
It's going to make it much harder for me to replace a boiler. Instead, I'm going to repair it. Patch a roof instead of replacing a roof.
You are giving only two options. You're saying if we don't tax the rich, then I got to increase property tax.
It will put us in a hole. We will be at a deficit.
So as we talk about all the stuff the mayor wants to pay for, it looks like the industrial fraud complex has no plans to let go of New York anytime soon. And what nobody's talking about is that endless funding for free programs that are open to the entire world have set New York City on a course it may never correct from. And while this may have started with the asylum crisis that saw hundreds of thousands of folks moved into luxury hotels with all their bills paid for, this created an entire industry dedicated to receiving government money in ways that had never been possible before. And that industry is now so large, it's self-sustaining, because the more money you give out, the more people who are negatively affected. If you stop giving that money out, which means we've just got to give out more and more and more, you see? At the same time, nothing is being done to help New Yorkers live here on their own, and the statistics are shocking. A record 350,000 are currently homeless, and 1 out of every 3 New Yorkers spends more than half their income
Stormtrooper,
on
good
rent.
morning.
When you add to that super expensive milk at the grocery store, there just isn't any room left in people's budgets for the mayor's plans. Which brings us to the real reason people are on the steps of City Hall protesting tax increases. These are people who think that if they have to pay for one more thing, that's it, they're going to have to leave, and they might be right. But here's the bad news for all of the folks who are upset and feel betrayed by the mayor. Even if these property hikes get postponed, nobody wants to admit the number of millionaires here is finite and shrinking fast. Which means these taxes we're hearing about today, they're just gonna come back tomorrow. On top of that, if you're gonna hike up the rates for rich people to live here, these are the people who own businesses and rent out apartments. How are they gonna get their money back? They're gonna pass it on to their customers one way or the other, which means the affordability equation here doesn't really change. But wait, maybe New Yorkers are getting something back, which is better than what they're being asked to put in. Maybe this is going to be a great thing, and the city's best days are ahead of it.
We are rolling out today is for parents of 2-year-olds in the neighborhoods that we have listed, no matter the amount of money they make, the occupation they have, their immigration status, so long as they live there, they can apply. The application process will become open sometime in early summer.
Awesome. Government-funded childcare programs that are being rolled out as quickly as possible, paid for by every single person who lives here. What could go wrong?
Going to a lot of these daycare centers, we're trying to find a spot for our little boy Joey. But,
Joey.
We thought maybe we could check him in the autism center because none of the daycare centers are open. Yeah, and how many kids do you guys have at this autism center?
I can't give you a number.
So, are you a news reporter?
My name's Nick. We're doing a little documentary trying to find little Joey a spot to put himself in one of these centers here.
As America has learned recently, these types of programs, they might not attract the children the programs are designed for, but because this is America's largest sanctuary city that has billions of dollars to just dole out, no other city has that. And for that reason, some people think the fraud here is going to get even worse than what we've seen even in places like Minnesota.
Hola, su hijo o hija está cumpliendo 3 o 4 años en el 2026. Usted puede registrarlos gratis. Cualquier padre de la familia de la ciudad de Nueva York, sin importar su ocupación, ingreso o estatus migratorio, es elegible para...
Okay, so here's a connection that you really need to understand. As you just heard Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez say, everyone can sign up for these new programs in New York, no matter what their status is in the country. Now, that's because New York is a sanctuary city. These politicians, they think they're being very generous. But one of the ways that state auditors in Minnesota were able to catch fraud was they realized that the number of daycares greatly eclipsed the population, right? There was a major imbalance in some places, and they figured out, hey, Governor Tim, should we look at this stuff? He did say no, by the way. But if you've got a sanctuary city with hundreds of thousands of people living in it who are undocumented, how do you prove there are or are not too many child care facilities you
Right.
can? Which means the city is setting itself up to spend unlimited amounts of money on something that is already out of control.
Unlimited.
2-year-olds this fall. We're expecting a second kid on the way, and so Universal 2Care means that we are going to be able to afford to stay in New York.
Alongside Governor Hochul Tuesday, Mayor Mamdani announced the first 2,000 2K seats.
It will place at least $20,000 per child back in the pockets of parents across our city, and will make it possible for countless parents to return to the careers they love.
Wait a second. There's only 2,000 seats. I can count the number of parents who are going to be able to return to the careers they love. 2,000. And we got a city of 8 million people who are expected to pay for this stuff. And that's the whole problem with communism that New York City is about to learn
Free
and fast. An unlimited amount of money is required to dole out specific things to a select group of people, a finite group of people. You see, you have a finite outcome which requires unlimited resources. This is a big problem. Not to mention, if you do not have children and you live in New York City and your rent goes up because your landlord's getting hit to pay for this stuff, your life just got harder. You receive zero benefit from this. And because these are daycares, child cares. The mayor has just signaled to the entire industrial fraud complex in America that the best thing you can do if you want to live affordably in New York is to come here right now and build a daycare. Set it up. Do it fast. Money's coming.
Tenants, local officials, and organizations alike took to the steps of City Hall with a clear message.
Find another way. There's got to be another way.
There
It
is.
comes weeks after Mayor Zoran Mamdani put out a plan to close a $5.4
Stop voting blue no matter who.
gap in the city's budget. Mayor Mamdani says the first option would be a 2% tax increase on the city's top earners and corporations. But if that falls through, the second option would be a 9.5% property tax increase. The mayor previously emphasizing the latter as a last resort.
How do you close a spending problem by not saving money? You've got all this money that you're worried, where's it going to come from? Why does it need to come from anywhere? Why don't we just not spend the money? Well, the answer to that is the industrial fraud complex in the country learned its lesson. They better go to a place where it's easier to hide and where there's actually more money available. And that's because scaling back these programs is not on the table. $20,000 per child. That's insane money going into the pockets of people running daycare. Meanwhile, no plan has been put forward.
Good question. I did not see this because we seen it.
Actually full of
And we literally
children.
seen it miles away. I live in Illinois and I seen that coming.
How is this going to help the affordability equation for people who go to the grocery store and see milk that they can't afford?
And Brandon Johnson, the same thing in Chicago.
Buy prices, which by the way are higher here than anywhere else because of all the fees these businesses like your grocery store already have to pay. It's cheaper to buy food in places like New Jersey. That's why there's people that every weekend they leave New York and they go to New Jersey to buy their food and they come back. That's how much cheaper it is.
That falls through. The second option would be a 9.5% property tax increase. The mayor previously emphasizing the latter as a last resort.
This is something that we do not
This Chicago bullshit here.
something that we are going to utilize every single option to ensure does not come to pass.
But in order for the first plan to work, it would need the governor's support. As 12 previously reported, though, Governor Kathy Hochul agreed to increase funding,
Shit
but was in
crazy.
opposition to the first plan
Yeah,
of
she
taxing
gave
the wealthy,
money for this.
making Plan B feel more like a Plan A for ralliers.
It will put us in a hole. We will be at a deficit because most of the people where we live in Canarsie, we are retirees and we on a fixed income.
That's Maria.
Wow. Okay. So people are on fixed incomes, and even if you're not a retiree, your job isn't giving you a 10% raise every year. Let's just put it that way. Plus, the cost for homeowners.
Let's call it renewal to mind, renewal to vote. They gonna go to a red state and still vote blue. That's crazy. You can't do that.
Might be even worse than what we're being told.
We have to pay flood insurance, and our flood
And they wonder why things ain't going a certain way. Stop voting blue.
So Sandy,
News 12 previously reported that Mayor Mamdani assigned chief of saving officers in different departments to see if there were any ways to cut costs.
Yeah, they didn't find anything. But you know what building owners are finding out is that the cost to run their dilapidated building, that just keeps creeping up and up and up and up and up. Every single year it gets tougher. The fuel to fuel the building, because landlords are required to provide hot water, cold water, and heat. Well, the boiler, that costs more money to fill up. It costs more money to repair when it breaks. And every single thing that goes into an apartment, all those old radiators, the air conditioners, the lighting, everything, all that stuff keeps going up too. So the cost to operate these buildings goes up. Now they're all going to get hit with a property tax increase. This is nightmare news for renters, and they don't even know it.
But noticeably absent from phase one is Staten Island.
Oh.
And last week we were left out in the snow. This week we're left out in the cold.
Borough President Vito Fossella says after his residents waited days for snowplows to clear parts of Staten Island following last week's blizzard, they will now wait longer than the other boroughs for 2K.
Why?
But if there was a plan to put these things in place, shouldn't that have been a negotiation, a conversation to try to identify locations?
Mayor Mamdani says this first phase is a result of partnerships with existing child care providers.
These determinations were made in part on a reflection of which neighborhoods had those providers ready to go before the end of this year.
Oh, so listen to that. We're going to roll out citywide child care, but your neighborhood doesn't get it if we don't think you have enough providers already. So if the industrial fraud complex, if that hasn't come to your neighborhood yet, we're not going to spend any money. Now, of course, not every daycare in the city is fraudulent. Of course not. But everybody in New York voted for all this free stuff. They said, you know what? We want all this free stuff. We love it. It sounds great. We got an affordability problem. Let's get the free childcare. Let's get the free grocery stores. But then when it's time to roll out those free programs, people say, hey, wait a second. We wanted free grocery stores in every single neighborhood at once. What do you mean there's only the first free grocery stores going over there and I got to pay for it, or the first free childcare's over here and you want me to pay for it? That's not what I voted for. Yes, it is. Yes, it is how it works.
And also as a reflection of economic need.
Applications for the first 2,000 seats will open this summer.
It's going to fill up quick. Them 2,000 seats are going to be gone.
They're like fascinated by
It is
them.
a moth to a flame, I'm telling you.
Constantly. So what about Staten Island? Will this program eventually be offered to those folks in that borough?
Yes, Christine. So this is just phase one of what, with 2,000 seats for this fall.
But here's the problem with that. All of this is being done to solve the affordability problems every single resident in New York City is facing at once. And if you have to pay for something today and it is eventually going to show up in a few months, in a few years, your affordability equation just got worse and you get absolutely nothing for it. At the exact same time, there's only 2,000 seats in the program here, which means everyone pays for something not everyone has access to. That is not affordability.
Taxes were $2,800. Now they're $11,000. Well, Donnie tax hike would mean another hike of over $1,000, and he's furious.
This is coming from someone who has never had to fight for anything in his life, who grew up in privilege and wealth. So, of course, raising property taxes on rich people, such as himself, isn't much of a burden.
I'm not so sure about
and
that.
Porsche owns 2 small West Side buildings, which each have 10 apartments.
There's no restraint. They just come to us as if we're an ATM machine.
She says the Mamdani tax hike, if it comes to fruition, will affect her tenants, too.
It's going to make it much harder for me to replace a boiler. Instead, I'm going to repair it. Patch a roof instead of replacing a roof. Those are the kinds of decisions you have to make when, 40% of your rent roll is going to the city in property taxes.
40% of the income from renting out apartments goes to the city. That means if you have a building with 10 apartments, 4 of those apartments you effectively collect nothing on. You got to run the whole building on the rent from the other 6 and repair it. And if you can't do that, what happens? You have to raise the rent. And you know something, the dirty little secret here, this landlady that we've got on the news, her taxes are going up either way. And it's her job to rent apartments because that's what she does for a living. If she's a millionaire, she's getting hit with the tax when it applies to millionaires. If she's not a millionaire, she's getting hit with the property tax. So one way or the other, she has to raise the costs for people to live in her building. And let's say she wasn't an apartment owner. Let's say she owned spaces that had commercial tenants. Well, the property tax hits them too. So you got some business, some restaurant you enjoy eating at, well, guess what? Their rent's going up too. If you got some business that sells little products that you like to buy, little trinkets that you like to go out and buy in New York, and a little souvenir shop or something, guess what? Those are going to cost more too because their rent's going up.
More painful. The mayor and Governor Kathy Hochul are digging in on their differences over what he wants from her
To increase taxes on the wealthiest and the most profitable corporations.
and what she says in return.
I don't support a property tax increase on New Yorkers, and I'm not wavering from my position.
It's an unusual dance playing out between the 2 Democrats who have endorsed one another. The governor has already committed billions to plug the budget hole and help the mayor keep his free
The money's
childcare
there.
promise.
She gave him the money.
New Yorkers can wonder why Mayor Mamdani isn't changing his tune, even threatening to raise property taxes by 9.5% if the state refuses to tax the rich.
And this is after the governor promised all the money necessary to pay for these programs for the next few years. And you know what this signals? This signals that the true nature of what this is all going to cost is bigger than anyone can possibly imagine. At the exact same time, this number, 9.5%, It's being teased now as a nuclear option. Mayor says he doesn't want to do it. Well, guess what? In a few years or in a few months, when these plans don't work out and the mayor comes back with a 4.25% tax instead, just say, yeah, well, hey, it's half what we were asking for before. And we have this entire fight right now over these communist plans to roll out programs that everybody pays for and only a few people get. And guess what? There's not enough money for it. And there never will be. That's why we have a $5.8 billion budget cap. To begin with, this place is on a collision course with bankruptcy, and nobody wants to stop it. People are trying to accelerate it. At the same time, what are we told about these programs that everybody has to pay for? We're told that they make New York City stronger. Well, how do they do that? How is New York City stronger when everyone has to pay more for something that only a few people have access to? How is that better for us? And I get that these programs are sold as an investment, but guess what? If you own a building and it's falling apart and you have to repair the foundation so the place doesn't collapse, you could say, okay, the foundation is going to cost this much to repair. It's going to last, 20 years before I got to do it again. And this is how much I need to raise rents. And I can figure out exactly when my investment's going to pay off. But all these free programs that are magnets for fraud, when do they pay off? How do we do that calculation to figure out when everyone's going to get their money back and when the world's going to be a happy, magical place? We can't. I don't see how this is going to work. I don't see how there are going to be people whose lives are made better off from it. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you think? I'll see you in the next video.
Fuck your dog. Keep your dog home. I don't care. It's not cute. I don't want to pet it. I don't want to touch your dog. Dogs are haram for a reason, and this was a sign from Allah. There's shit all over my fucking rug. Dogs are gross.
Jerry, good morning. Thanks for stopping by. Good morning.
God wants us to have kids, not to have a bunch of fucking dogs. Everybody in Miami pushing around a little Frenchie, putting a dog in a stroller. Have a kid. You're weird. Fuck dogs.
All right, Patriots. Today's video is a very sensitive topic, and it's something that I wanted to highlight to you in case you're not familiar with it or you may be. Right now, we have a gubernatorial race going on in Florida with Congressman Byron Donalds. You may be familiar with Byron Donalds, you may not. He's a strong advocate for Trump's policies, and he's been endorsed by President Trump to be the one to replace Ron DeSantis. But another candidate, his opponent, running on the Republican ticket is a man by the name of James Fishback. Now, you may have seen James Fishback on shows like Fox News, on CNN, where he was running around calling himself a Doge advisor. And one of the things we found out about Mr. Fishback over the last few weeks and the last couple of months is that he is not MAGA. He is not Republican. He is a neocon looking to destroy and divide the Republican Party.
Like and subscribe, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Let's get to 1,500 subscribers.
Worked out. The purpose of this video is to highlight to you. You're going to see men like James Fishback popping up in different places. Not because that's really what the conservative or the MAGA movement wants. It's almost like they're plants put in to sow seeds of destruction to tear apart the fabric that the Republican Party has built and is standing on. The Republican Party is and has always been a welcoming party for patriots, not for wild, deranged people who deny the Most High God, who deny having strong borders, who deny America first and strong defenses. No. That's not. All of those people are welcome under the tent. But these destroyers are there to sow seeds of hate, racism, and division. And in this video, I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Fishback because he said some of the most vile and disgusting things to and about Byron Donalds. And if you follow politics, you know who Byron Donalds is. You know he's been a strong advocate for the right things for this country. Nothing about race, nothing about do something for my people. It's all about America with him. James Fishback, who's a very close friend with Nick Fuentes, who is a radical neoconservative racist, who the left loves. The left has been shining light on Nick Fuentes because they know that his radical ideology is just enough to make the Republican Party look bad and to keep any minorities, blacks, Asians, Latinos that share the strong patriotic beliefs that we have. It'll keep them at bay because they believe the party is about individuals like him. So this video is to expose James Fishback and to make sure that you are aware who he is so he doesn't fool you. And when we see people like him popping up, we got to beat them back like whack-a-mole because we work too hard to build this party of a unified front of patriots, of America first, people that want to make America great again, not divided and do like the Democrats do and make everything about race and identity politics, which again, as we see how it's destroying that party. So I want you to check this out. And you might say, well, Brian, why do I care about it? Because I assure you, if you haven't seen them, you will, because the left is trying to highlight, because they control the mainstream media. So the mainstream media is starting to shine spotlights on these radical neoconservative races and putting it out there like, see, this is what MAGA is. See, this is what Trump supporters about. And it's not Trump supporters. They're farthest thing from Trump supporters. As a matter of fact, President Trump disavows everything that they're standing for. And I'll show you why. Now, this first clip is James Fishback at a recent rally he had. Check out what he says.
The truth of George Washington and George Washington Carver. The truth of Ronald Reagan and Rosa Parks. Of Langston Hughes and Ernest Hemingway. Of Rudyard Kipling and Florida's own Zora Neale Thurston. The poetry and prose that have made our state what it is. And the fact that our state did in fact join the Confederacy. We will tell the whole truth of Florida history. And as governor, I will never apologize for our Confederate history.
Now, let me be the first to tell you, I don't have any problem with that. I understand that there were Southerners in the South that they believed in the Confederacy. They wanted to do their own thing. They were fighting over slavery and whatnot. I get that. That is a part of American history. And I, too, don't believe that history should be tainted at all. The good, the bad, it all should be shown. But what he's doing what's called a grift. So he's standing up there and he named off Langston Hughes and Rosa Parks, as well as with some other white folks, to make it seem like he's this all-inclusive person. That's what you call a grift. Now, I want you to check out who Fishback really is, because I want to play this audio of him on a Zoom call and listen as he crashes out and exposes his true colors and how he really feels about Byron Donald. Check this out.
You said you were going to release your 23andMe results a month ago. When do you plan to release your 23andMe?
And let me point out what that is. He has not identified what his own ethnicity is. And you'll see in the video why it's such a scandal, because many say that he is Jewish. Not like that matters, but for whatever reason, he's shying away from it. But wait till you see the grift and the double talk that he does, the double standard. So just to put some context to it, that people are asking, hey, man, what are you? You know, you come out here and you say this today, then you say that tomorrow. You're for this today, then you're for that tomorrow.
Damn.
We're talking about literally within the same month or the same weeks. This man flip-flops. So just to give that context.
The results when they get back to me. When do you expect that? I don't know. I don't work for 23andMe. When they send me them back, I will send them back.
Point of order here. I think it's insane that anyone would use 23andMe. You just hand your.
Well, yeah, I know. Because remember, Max is a Max is a racial purist. He's an ethnic purist. He only wants a certain type of people to be in government. That's just kooky stuff. No, I mean, Fishback's the guy who left. Why would you insist it? Then why would you insist on it? You're the one who bragged. You're the one who bragged. Fishback, listen. You're the one who says that Byron has a dark vision. Byron does have a dark vision. He does have a dark vision. He's a disgrace. He came from the ghetto. I want to send him back to the ghetto. And you can print that if you want. I don't care what you say, Max. You're a stupid, feckless Republican who's trying to tone police us. I and the rest of us are trying to save our country. And you're worried about me calling a black man Byron? Go join the Democrat Party, Max. Seriously.
If you're enjoying this video, do me a solid. Hit that thumbs up, because I'll never ask you for a cash app or a super chat, but you hitting that like button, it really does help a great deal. It helps get the video out there. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And when you do, make sure you hit the notification bell and select all. That way, YouTube will make sure that you get notified when I upload new videos. So Byron's name is Byron, but he's been calling him Byron, like a play on Tyrone, Black Tyrone. And so these people calling him out, because it's like, okay, dude, you're talking all of this stuff. What are you? What is your background? And he keeps dodging it. He's refusing. And just you're going to see later in the video, when somebody else confronts him on it, he's going to dodge. Now, did you hear what he said about Byron Donald? He said he come from the ghetto. I want to send him back to the ghetto. And you can print that on the heels of his Confederacy grip. So him talking about the Confederacy and not apologizing, I agree. I don't believe we should apologize for history. It happened. All the apologies in the world, we can recognize it. But the people today didn't do that yesterday. So why would anybody today apologize for what somebody yesterday did? But we can't acknowledge that it was wrongdoing. We can acknowledge together that it was wrong and work to right it. So I'm in agreement with that. But he's selling it as if he's this inclusive person, when in reality, he's not. He's anti-black and promoting the MAGA movement in the Republican Party, which is turning a lot of people off. Now, that was just that clip right there. Now, I want you to check this out. This is a post that he put up. Byron, when his name is Byron wants to turn Florida into a Section 8 ghetto. You know, I mean, so he's taking some of the most ugly attacks going at him. Now, listen to how Byron Donalds handles it when he's asked about it. Total class act. Check this out.
Man, I don't even worry about that, dude. But I will tell you this. The Republican Party is the party that was founded to abolish slavery. We're the party that has always fought segregation and racism. Got no place in our party whatsoever. But I'm focused on my job, my mission, and the future of our state. Man,
he wouldn't even go in the mud with the guy because he knows what the Republican Party stands on. That's the Democrat Party. Has always been about hate, division, and that's really what Fishback really is. But he's grifting. Now, in the governor race, let me just add some context to it just to let you know exactly what's going on. In the governor's race right now, to run for governor, and you're going to see the neoconservatives are going to get even more extreme. Byron Donalds is whooping everybody else. DeSantis isn't even in it, but you got certain people still writing him in. But Collins, that's the Democrat. No, Foley's the Democrat, excuse me. Collins on the Republican side, 4%. Fishback at 5%. Renner at 2%. So as you see, it's Byron Donalds by far running away with it big time. And on the Democrat ticket, there's only two that are running. You got Jolly and Demings. And Demings is a radical nut job Democrat black lady who is just insane. She got blown out by Marco Rubio a couple years ago running for the Senate. Now, right here, this is Nick Fuentes. And this is who I was talking about, that the left is trying to platform Nick Fuentes and shine light on him as he is MAGA. I want you to listen to how radical he is. And then I'm going to follow this up with something from Fishback to show you he cannot be trusted. Check this out.
Well, look, you got to be careful because you'll realize this. Black people are...
This guy's trash.
Not all of them, but a lot of them. And if you say that, like, they will try to kill you. Because black people try to kill you over anything because they already hate you because you're white. And if you give them a reason, they already know, like, they have no abstract conception of the future. So they'll just kill you for nothing. So you do have to...
So what I wanted to do, that's Nick Fuentes, who the Democrat, I mean, they're giving him life. Tucker Carlson was the one who gave him the biggest platform. And I'm starting to wonder what's going on with Tucker Carlson. On the heels of all of the stuff that's taking place in the country right now, seniors, it's extremely important.
Thank you guys for being in chat with me. Thank you. They cooking.
This year, Medicare plans are expected to increase 10%. And that's $215 out of your Social Security check. And guess what? Some of your doctors may not be a network. Some of your prescriptions all one under the flag. That's what makes this country great. And that's what the Democrats want to destroy. And I believe that plants like Nick Fuentes and James Fishback are here to destroy this unified front that we got going on. Because
he was friends with Destiny, I believe, Nick Fuentes was. So that he's friends with Destiny, I definitely don't trust him.
So strong. Right now, the Republican
and Destiny
Party
is a man.
Like unified at 97%, 98% behind President Trump, the strongest it's ever been. But when you get radicals like this in the mix, they can destroy it. And that'll cost us elections. Because to the average voter that's not sold on Democrats at all and not totally sold on Republicans, and they see the extreme leftist derangement of the Democrat socialists, and then they hear these neocons platform, you know what'll happen? Races and elections will be splintered. And Democrats tend to have enough radicalized, insane people that'll go out and will vote out of hate more than Republicans will go out and vote out of commitment and love sometimes. That's just the real in some of these midterm elections. That's why we got to get everybody energized to get out in the midterm elections. But this is Nick Fuentes. Now I want you to listen to James Fishback as he talks about Nick Fuentes.
Hey, Fishback is funny.
And what he's unwilling to do. Check this out.
I got a call from a donor 3 weeks ago. And they saw some comments that I made about the men in this country that watch Nick Fuentes' show.
Yeah.
And they said, if you put out a statement disavowing every single Nick Fuentes follower, we will donate $500,000 to your campaign. And what I said was, thank you very much. I hung up the phone. I will never disavow patriotic Americans.
So he refused to disavow Nick Fuentes. I disavow the bullcrap Nick Fuentes says. I disavow anybody that's spewing racist hate and division. I disavow, I don't care if they're black, they're white, they're Republican.
Disavow.
We have no place for that. We've had enough of that in this country, and we need to end it. That's what got us to the problems we have now. And seems like we were close to really burying that hatchet until Obama showed up.
Divider in
And then he
chief.
became the most divisive president in the history of this country. And President Trump is trying to bring it all back home, one under the flag, like we once were. Now, let's go more into Mr. Fishback, because then what I'm about to show you next is really going to show you just how fake and phony this man is. James Fishback, 2026 Republican candidate for governor, has been involved in several controversies during his campaign, ranging from allegations of sexual misconduct to legal and financial disputes. Underage relationship allegations. In 2022, the Broward County School District severed ties with Fishback and his debate nonprofit, Incubate Debate, following allegations that he initiated an inappropriate romantic relationship with a 17-year-old student.
Holy shit.
While Fishback denied the claims and noted that a judge later denied a protective order for harassment in 2025 due to lack of evidence, reports indicate the pair later lived together and were briefly engaged after she turned 18. So she tried to get a protective order against him. The judge wouldn't do it because no evidence. But she also came out and said he stalked her after that. So then legal and financial disputes. In 2023, his former employer, Greenlight Capital, entered a dispute with him regarding his job title because he's a liar. He was never a Doge advisor. He lied about that. He's lied about his whole career, everything. And wait till you see the biggest lie coming up next. His job title, resulting in a 2025 admission by Fishback that he illicitly shared confidential company information. A federal judge ordered him to turn over luxury items and stock to pay a $200,000 plus judgment to the firm, leading to the repossession of his Tesla in 2025. So you want to run for governor and run one of the more profitable states in the country where you can't even balance your own budget and handle your own business, getting repossessions and taking company funds and whatnot. Controversial campaign tactics and rhetoric. Racist comments. Fishback has been criticized for calling his Republican primary rival, Byron Donalds, who is black, a slave to donors. Groyper Association. He has been described as a Groyper candidate and has expressed admiration for far-right commentator Nick Fuentes, who you just saw. Waffle House ban. In March 2026, Fishback announced that his campaign was banned from all Waffle House locations in Florida, which he was. You know you got to be banned for Waffle House to ban you. They let the drunk, drug addict, homeless person in at 2, 3 in the morning to get a coffee and some hash browns. Arson claim. In February of 2026, Fishback claimed a fire at his home was an act of political violence, though local authorities did not classify it as arson. So to drum up some type of political support, this dude staged allegedly a fire at his house, which the police saw right through it. Misrepresentation claims. Reports indicate Fishback falsely claimed to be an advisor to the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and was not considered for a Federal Reserve seat despite claiming otherwise. So this guy's a complete fraud. You might have seen him on TV and thought like he was down with the Trump administration. I remember seeing him on TV when Doge first started doing interviews about Doge, and I remember saying, wow, who is this guy? And he was talking so highly of Elon Musk and of Vivek Ramaswamy, and he was around Vivek. And guess what he did? Flipped on Vivek totally. Started disrespecting Vivek, disrespecting his culture because he was told he makes more money. He gets more campaign donations the more radical and the more racist he acts. Y'all know how this goes. The more radical the Democrats act, the bigger their campaign donations get. He's taking that approach on the right. The only thing that on the right, we already have most of the country that associate racism with the Republican Party, wrongfully so. But you and I know where it really started and where it really come from. But we also have to accept the reality that the mainstream media has done a good job of manipulating the minds of people. Now you got these flat-out neocon racists that the media is highlighted to say, look, see, I told y'all this how they are. And I'm attacked by black people all the time that think I'm some sellout person because I am a conservative. I am a part of MAGA. And they don't understand the truth. If these fools don't represent MAGA, the mainstream media wants to sell them like they do. But they don't. But Nick Fuentes, he's getting a bigger and bigger audience of young white men who are being radicalized by this guy and are starting to develop hate. And we have to beat it back ASAP.
Right.
You can love your people. You can love yourself, which means you don't have to hate. You don't have to hate anybody else for you to love yourself and love your culture and love your people. Trust me, I know. Now, I want you to listen to this. This is Fishback literally just a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Listen to this, and the follow-up will blow your mind. Check this out.
They're making hundreds of billions of dollars a year more.
That's destiny right there.
Give their proxies weapons, money, and the vigor to attack the Jewish state, and that is unacceptable in the international community. Let me tell you.
So you think that the only reason that Hamas attacked Israel, you think the only reason they're able to do is because of increased Iranian funding?
Who funds Hamas?
In part, it's Iran, but Hamas gets funding from all sorts of different adventures.
Who funds Iran?
They get money from Qatar, right?
Who funds? Okay. Who
right?
Hamas? Of course they do.
Right? Probably more money. I think.
No.
It might have been Qatar, I think, actually.
Well, they give them a Ritz-Carlton hotel room. But listen.
No, they were transferring a whole lot of money to the Gaza Strip. That was one of the big things. One of the big scandals that Netanyahu was involved in was allowing the money to pass through the Gaza Strip.
Now, the guy that Fishback is debating is a guy named Destiny, who, and I'm not saying this to be mean, he's a meth-smoking guy who's got busted engaging with weird acts with underage people, allegedly, but he's really going to court or dealing with something like that right now, allegedly, but messing with underage people, sending explicit pictures and videos, and so, and I guess, I don't know, self-proclaimed meth addict, meth head, but he's a far left, strange person. But you hear Fishback, and he's defending Israel, right? Stepping up for Israel, how they were attacked, and that's wrong. Now, I want you to look up, now that he's running for governor, this is how he feels about Israel today. Check this out.
I will not visit the country of Israel under any circumstances. There's no reason for me to do that. There's no reason. What I will do is I will visit the country of Brazil in my first 100 days because they're our top trading partner. They're our top trading partner. I also lived in Rio for 6 months. I'm looking forward to being back. There's a ton of Brazilians in Orlando. Camille's is a good restaurant. I've been there. Because Brazil is our top trading partner. We sell $17 billion worth of aerospace equipment to the Brazilian economy every single year. I want to sign a trade deal with Brazil in my first year to create 5,000 great paying jobs right here in Florida. If you're going to visit another country, you should be helping people, creating jobs, facilitating trade, not kissing a stupid wall.
Now he calls the wall kissing the stupid wall in Israel, but you just saw literally a year and a half ago, he was all about Israel. And this is where his ethnicity comes into play, because many say and believe he's Jewish himself, but he refuses to provide that DNA test showing his ethnicity because he says he doesn't know, even though he's asked repeatedly, hey man, what are you? Now, to show you just how vile this man is, you just saw him talking about Israel in the first clip with Destiny. Hey, that's wrong what they're doing. You know, you can't do that to Israel, to the international state. Then the next way he said, yeah, I wouldn't go to Israel under any circumstances and go there and kiss a stupid wall. Now, I want you to listen to this man because he hangs out with a guy named Sneeko. Now, Sneeko, matter of fact, let me let you listen to who Sneeko is. I'm not sure if you heard the reports about how Muslims hate dogs. This is the individual they were speaking about. He's a really big streamer. And listen to what he said about the dogs. And this is where people was going crazy saying, no, get the Muslims out before we get the dogs out. But check this out.
Fuck your dog. Fuck your dog. Keep your dog home. I don't care. It's not cute. I don't want to pet it. I don't want to touch your dog. Dogs are haram for a reason, and this was a sign from Allah. There's shit all over my fucking rug. Dogs are gross. Have a child. God wants us to have kids, not to have a bunch of fucking dogs. Everybody in Miami pushing around a little Frenchie, putting a dog in a stroller. Have a kid. You're weird. Fuck dogs. Fuck dogs.
He called him haram, right? That's what Allah wants. Now, look at who James Fishback likes to hang out with. This guy Sneeko. Check it out of his own mouth.
Heaven forbid a Catholic and a Muslim have some mercy.
So you see that? Him and Sneeko, they out on the town. They hang out together. Now let me show you again just how fake this individual is. This person, Sneeko, that he was just sitting there walking the street with, painting the town. Let me show you who's all in this van. It's going to be the who's who of the right-wing racists. Okay?
Right,
we got Nick Fuentes right here. We've got Sneeko right here. It's called Fresh and Fit. His name is Myron. And this guy up here, his name is Clavicular. He's a meth-smoking, cocaine look-smaxing guy who crushed his bones in his face to try to look as good as he can look, who was recently arrested and he was released. All of these guys are neocons. They're super racist. And I want you to pay attention to what they do in this video. And if you're Jewish, here's a warning, trigger warning. Check this out. You're hearing it right. They're saying N-word, Heil Hitler. So they're using a black racial slur and then screaming Heil Hitler. Andrew Tate was actually out with them this night too. They're all getting ready to go out on the town and check out the clubs. Now notice the guy's Sneeko suit. Don't it look exactly like the same suit that he's wearing when he's out hanging with Fishback? You see the gray suit, the white shirt, out in Miami. Same night. Same night.
Crazy.
Check this out. All my N-words Nazis, N-word Heil Hitler. Now, this is who James Fishback hangs with. Matter of fact, it goes even deeper. Check this out. The racist trolling and harassing me here in Raleigh is a supporter of racist Florida governor candidate James Fishback. And so what happened, you have our full support, James. Your campaign will set off a wave of momentum across the country and inspire young American patriots across the country to run for office. Now, another pissant anti-Semite threatening me, but unlike others, he lives in my town. Samuel Kellum called me a B and told me to leave America because I am Jewish. He also accused me of committing financial crimes, all because she's Jewish. These are the people that are infiltrating the Republican Party, trying to claim like they're MAGA, when really their plans there to divide it. Please be on the lookout and make sure that they don't infiltrate your household, your network. They're divisive, they're racist, and they're no different than the left Democrat socialists. They're no different than the deranged leftists. So yes, we have our own far-right extremists that are deranged. Again, I'm all about people being proud of their culture, but one doesn't make one any better than the other one. I don't believe that. I'm not going for that. I'm proud to be a black man in America. I'm proud of that, but that don't mean that I feel like I'm any better than any other race or culture at all. I can be proud and love myself without having to down anybody else. And anybody that has to down somebody else to feel good about themselves is a sucker, is weak, and is a loser anyway, which says a lot about these people. Now, check out this as he's confronted again on the whole DNA side. Check this out, just to show you how fake this man is. So if you live in Florida, definitely do not vote. Well, I can't tell you who to vote for, but just be aware of who you vote for. If you're voting for James Fishback, this is what you're getting. And like he talked about Brazil, going to Brazil and creating 5,000 jobs in America from Brazil. Are you insane? You're the governor of Florida. How is
Thank you.
create 5,000 jobs here and nobody else was able to figure that out? See, these folks get on it and he's doing what Democrats do, making empty lies, and he changes up who he is depending on the crowd he's in front of. You saw the video when he was debating the guy Destiny. He was all about Israel. But then he's in front of a group of young people that's not for Israel. And now he's like, forget that. Anybody kissing no wall, I wouldn't go to Israel ever. And we saw the attacks that happened to Jewish kids going to school. They don't have anything to do with Netanyahu's decisions. They were born into Jewish families. They can't control that. They don't deserve to be attacked, just like young black kids don't deserve to be criticized and attacked because their hair might be a certain way or they might speak a little different. I was once them too. I wasn't out hurting anybody, robbing anybody. I had both my parents in my life. I went to college. But because my hair was cut different and I might have dressed different or listened to different music, did that make me bad or some type of murderer or killer? No. But you heard how Nick Fuentes feel. Oh, yeah, all blacks, they want to kill you. If you live near them, they want to kill you. And this is who James Fishback, you heard him say, he would never disavow that fine patriot. Listen to this, though.
A lot of people are questioning your ethnicity.
Who are these people? Who are a lot of people?
Anonymous people on the internet. I guess that's.
We don't even know they exist, but okay.
I don't know the full story about this, but I guess a few weeks ago, people said you were going to post your ethnicity results. I don't know.
I haven't gotten it back yet.
Oh, you haven't gotten
it back yet? I'll release it.
But what are you? Do you know what you are ethnicity-wise?
I don't know.
You have no idea?
Who doesn't know what ethnicity they are? You have a mother. I mean, unless you were born and you were just put in an orphanage and nobody ever answered that question, okay. But that's not the case with this man. He knows. Why doesn't he want to say? Why is he afraid to say? Because he knows the moment it comes out that he's Jewish, it's over. All of his neocon friends are gone. His grift is over. This man lied about being a part of Doge. What else won't he lie about?
No idea. Okay. I know that I'm a Christian. I know that I'm American. I know that I was born here. Okay. And Byron Donalds was not born here. He's an anchor baby. Fair enough. Along with Vivek. Along with Ileana Moore. You are right. Yeah. Look, the 23andMe thing, honestly, I think that what does anyone have to hide? What does anyone have to hide? Right? I think Congressman Donald should do the same thing. I think anyone running for office should be as open as a book as possible. I stood here for 2 hours and took questions from every single person who had one. I don't know what it is, but what I will tell you is that my family has deep roots in this country. Yeah. I pledge allegiance to one flag and one flag only, and I bend the knee to one man and one man only, and that is Jesus Christ.
See, he's a grifter. That's just what he is. He's a grifter because I believe he's Jewish. I believe that he definitely practiced Jewish faith, but then now all of a sudden he says he's Catholic. And so, it's just a grip. He's running for a campaign, for an election. But let me hit you to something else about him. If you live in Florida that we need to know, he doesn't even live here.
Damn.
He pulled up his information to show his tax document.
Mike, do he live there, Mike, in the chat?
Does not live in Florida. A tax document from February 17, 2026 shows
I like
that
Byron
Fishback
too.
is currently homesteaded in Washington, D.C., despite his lies about being a Florida resident.
Mike in the chat, is he lying what he got on here on the screen? Mike, you say you live in Florida and you love Fishback.
He also groomed at least 4 underage girls, allegedly. We only know about the one, but he's attached to more. So I made this video just to let you know that Byron Donalds is running for governor. And granted, there's other people in it, but this man has been attacking his race. He's attacked his family. Byron Donalds' wife is white. So what? Fishback them have attacked that. You heard what he said about wanting to send him back to the ghetto. He's besties with Nick Fuentes and the guy Sneeko. Sneeko hates dogs. And anybody that hates dogs, F you. Why don't you get out of the country? I'd rather you leave the country before we make the dogs leave the country. Ain't that about a beat? He is out of his mind. But these are the people that Fishback hang with. And Fishback is getting a lot of publicity from the left. They love him because they know he's a jellyfish. If he got elected, he'd be right along with the Democrats. He is one of them. He just knew he couldn't get elected on that side, so he jumped over here. And Nick Fuentes, he's a little poser too, because he got a little sugar in his tank. He's one of these guys that anytime women are brought up, he's, oh my God. He did a video where he said that his biggest turnoff for a woman is saying they want to go back to his place.
Still chat? Yeah, I just got roast beef, juice all over my face. We're very wet. Put this under. What are you doing? Yeah. I'm trying to share the sandwich. I got my chips all over the table. Baby, dude. I just watched my chips. You know the reason why he has this idea that the thought zeitgeist, right? To stop men from making relationships with neighbors and together. Yeah. Oh, you did with the whole yeah. Oh, you have a shower with your friend. Okay.
And then he was out with that crew of super racists singing High Hitler songs. And when the guy said, hey, man, I'm going to get some girls to bring him over, he's like, no, don't do that, man. No. But talks all big and all racial. And the guy's about 3 foot nothing. You can't tell from the video, he got that little smush body. He's got the Napoleon syndrome. He hates himself. So since he hates himself, he wants to just project hate to everyone else. But the sad thing is he's gaining traction with some young people. Not a lot, because they still despise him and think he's gross, but the Democrats are giving him a light. And Tucker Carlson gave him the biggest light to spew his anti-Semitic, anti-black bullcrap all across the country, over the world. So, again, I don't know what's going on with Tucker, but I've not been vibing with Tucker very well lately. It seems like he's become pro-Arab in everything that's against the MAGA movement as of late. Have you noticed that? Leave it in the comments if I'm wrong. If you think it's different, please tell me if I missed it.
Ken Paxton is becoming the people's favorite. So here, all right, so Senator John Thune says that the SAVE Act is just an influence propaganda by influencers seen by President Trump. We got some big news by President Trump going after John Thune, where he announces that, hey, if we don't get this passed, I won't be signing any new bills. We also got Ken Paxton coming out in Texas, basically putting the SAVE Act and campaigning on the SAVE Act. So now President Trump,
I know what happened with Tucker Carlson. Something happened.
And Ken Paxton is becoming the people's favorite. So here today joining me is our guy, George A. Hey,
we just need the SAVE Act. That's all I want, Lou. I just want the SAVE Act. And I think
what Trump and Paxton are cooking up might be a meal, might be food.
Yeah, so let's actually dive into it. So, again, Americans are pushing back on Senate Majority Leader John Thune, suggesting that the SAVE Act is only supported by paid influencers all over X and YouTube. And I don't know what's making them say this, but Trump is not happy about it. And he says, I am not a paid influencer. I am an ordinary American concerned about the future of our republic. The message is clear. And again, that was actually the person who wrote this saying that about John Thune. And also, we're going to, subscribe to that mentality that we are not paid influencers. We just want to see the Save America Act go through. So again, this is where Trump comes in swinging at people like John Thune, especially John Thune being, the Senate Majority Leader, who has been complaining, by the way, guys. He literally went on earlier today and told the rest of America that he doesn't have the votes. Let's actually take a listen to this.
We're tying the Senate in knots for weeks.
We don't have the votes either to proceed beyond a talking filibuster, nor to sustain one if we got on it. But that is just a function of math. There isn't anything I can do about that. I mean, I understand the president's got a passion to see this issue addressed, as well.
Does he understand that, though?
Well, we've conveyed that to him, but we will continue to make that argument because I think it's important that everybody understands.
All right, so again, what does it sound like to you when you hear the most important senator in the Republican led House is basically coming out and saying we just don't have the votes?
This is the most annoying and irritating statement ever. What do you mean you don't have the votes? We gave you a majority. I believe it's 53 to 47. They have 3 extra senators on the Democrats. And if it's a 50-50 vote, they have J.D. Vance. They don't need 60 votes to get the SAVE Act through. 60 votes is what you need to invoke cloture, but not if you change the rules. John Thune right now, tomorrow, him and Mitch McConnell, who is the chairman of the Senate Rules Committee, they can get together and say, we're going to introduce a motion to change the threshold to overcome debate from 60 to 61 votes or 51 votes, a simple majority. Or we're going to force a standing filibuster. So if the Democrats are going to filibuster, they have to physically be on the Senate floor giving speeches for an eternity if they really want to stop the SAVE Act. That's what John Thune can do. So this BS, we don't have the votes. Okay, yes, you do. There's more of you than there is of them.
Yeah, and again, this is President Trump going on Truth Social, saying great job by hardworking Scott Presler on Fox and Friends, talking about using the filibuster or talking filibuster in order to pass the Save America Act, an 88% issue with all voters, by the way, and it must be done immediately. It supersedes everything else. Must go in front of the line. As the president, Trump says, will not sign any other bills until this is passed and not watered down, not the watered down version. Go for the gold. Must show voter ID. Must show proof of citizenship. No mail-in ballots except for military, illness, disability, and travel. No men and women's sports. No transgender mutilation for children. Do not fail. President Donald J. Trump. So Trump is going all out here on Truth Social, giving everybody the rundown that there will be no new bills until this is passed. So this is in the forefront of not only Trump or his administration, but the people in the United States of America, because he did give a number. And you want to know who else gave a number? Well, let's actually go to CNN, right? CNN gave the number because we have people like the Democrats, because we not only have trouble with John Thune and Republicans not going hard enough to make this happen, but we also have Democrats like Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and every Democrat across calling this racist and saying all these things as if Trump is lying about it. But in reality, when you listen to this clip from CNN showing the polling of all races, genders, and everything else in favor of this, take a listen.
The American people are with Nicki Minaj. What are we talking about here? So take a look here. Favor voter ID to vote. Look, I got all this polling on the screen going back since 2018. You'll notice on all of it, it's all north of 75%. 76%, 76%, 76%, 81%, and then 83% in the last year of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj. They favor photo ID to be able to vote.
Hey, man.
That's an incredible number. And going back to Trump's point on the standing filibuster, and John Thune saying we don't have the votes. Okay, Lou, what act in history do you think Democrats tried to stop?
Thank you, guys. Like and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you.
Martin Luther King and all these Republicans fought for the Civil Rights Act.
Civil Rights Act, yeah.
And it was passed using the standing filibuster. Democrats argued against it. They were standing on the Senate floor for tens of hours until eventually that threshold, that blockage was overwhelmed. So this idea that they don't have the votes is crazy. And I think for Trump, this is the smart thing to do. This is the genius play. This is the checkmate. Because if the Republicans don't pass the SAVE Act, Republicans for sure lose the midterms. Because Democrats in California will spend 2 months finding the ballots like they did last time. So Trump is like, all right, that means if the Democrats take the House, they're going to impeach me. That's all we're going to have for the next 2 years.
Thank you, leadership. You recently responded to President Trump's Truth Social post regarding the Save America Act, saying that he's going to not sign any bill until it's passed, as the Senate's going to do a typical gridlock. Can you just explain? Is this sort of a stab back to the American people, who 85% of them, 85% of voters support voter ID?
Yes, but their bill isn't voter ID. Number one, it is about voter registration. It allows ICE to kick tens of billions of people off the rolls. What the fuck are you doing? And they don't tell them until election day, and you show up and you say, you're not registered anymore. You're not registered here. You're not on the rolls. And they say, I didn't know that. This is a bill that destroys the country, and it is not about showing ID when you show up to vote. It's about the voter registration rolls, destroying them, purging them, not letting people know, and taking the rights in a algorithm put together by ICE, put together by Doge and Musk.
Like and subscribe, everybody. Like and subscribe.
It allows ICE to kick tens of billions of people off the rolls.
Impeachments. So Trump is like, all right, cool. I'm going to use this as the leverage point. If the Republicans want anything done, if they want to keep their seats, they're going to have to give me something. And I think that's important. It's absolutely critical.
Yeah, and you spoke about a very important Republican right now who, again, is going...
That's the problem. Most of these senators, these Congress men and women, they've been in power for like 30, 40 years. They should have been retired. How y'all retire in Congress? They should not retire in Congress, because when that happens, it becomes about them and not the people. Nancy Pelosi's not about the people. It's about her and her stock trade. All of them.
Up with and against, pretty much on a runoff here in Texas between John Cornyn and Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton pulled something out of his rabbit hat. He pulled the rabbit out of the hat and said, the Save America Act is the most important bill the U.S. Senate could ever pass. And I am committed to helping President Trump get it done. I would consider dropping out of this race if Senate leadership agrees to lift the filibuster and pass the Save America Act. John Cornyn is a coward who refused to support abolishing the filibuster to pass this bill. Now, fake news reporters and the establishment are trying to destroy me with misinformation. The truth is very clear, he says. No one has ever been more loyal to Donald Trump than me, fighting the 2020 election, right? Being in Mar-a-Lago when he announced his 2024 campaign, and standing with him in New York when he was facing lawfare. For good, For the good of our country, he says, and for the good of passing President Trump's agenda, I am determined to help him get this done. This got over 5.6 million views, and it basically puts John Cornyn in a position where he kind of has to come out and replicate this, because what is Trump going to do, right? We know that Trump made the announcement that one of these guys got to drop out for the sake of the party not being divided on this vote.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, especially when your opponent says God is transgender, James Tallarico. Yeah, this is a great strategy from Ken Paxton. And apparently, Paxton posted this afternoon that as we speak, John Cornyn is working with a strategist to oppose the establishment Republicans to appear like, hey, I'm on the people's side, just to counter Ken Paxton. So this one post alone is forcing John Cornyn to rethink his political strategy. And as you're bringing up, Elon Musk has also told John Cornyn things are going to get really bad. We're talking about the world's first trillionaire. Think about the kind of money Elon could spare. He took $44 billion and as a joke bought X. If he just took a few billion, he could ruin every Republican senator's career. Elon has a substantial influence, and he is a guy that wants the SAVE Act to go through.
Yesterday, no. Like a very long time ago when he had more hair. He was probably a congressman. Here's a gem from Chuck Schumer. Yesterday, no. Like a very long time ago when he had more hair. He was probably a congressman when this one went down. Here's Chuck Schumer, ironically, advocating for ID, Social Security cards, and against fraud before he realized he was for fraud and against ID. Check this out.
Gentlemen, salute him for his work on this, rise in support of the amendment. First of all, Social Security card is used from one end of America to the other as an identification card.
1996, and we in 2026, and this man's still in Congress.
Right now, who are we kidding? If you want,
and y'all wonder why we have problems. Vote this man the fuck out of there.
Want to pass a law and says it shouldn't be, I would ask the chairman and the distinguished minority member of the Social Security committee to pass that law. But let's admit the truth.
Cut his hair.
Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment.
But the party switched. I ain't switched. Get these people out of there.
Well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud.
1996. I was a police cadet. That's how long ago that was. I've been to about 47 different jobs since then, folks.
I think Ken Paxton's strategy is genius. I think we're about to see pressure like these Republicans have never gotten before. You have the most followed man on X, the most political platform in the world, the richest guy in the world,
gem from Chuck Schumer.
telling you, I'm coming after you. You don't realize how bad it's going to get.
So this post that we got up here that George references, it says, holy crap, it seems Elon Musk just sent a warning to John Thune over his refusal to pass the Save America Act, right? So does John Thune realize how bad he is effing up? Elon Musk says not yet. Thune's career might be living on borrowed time. So, yeah, like you said, we've seen Elon Musk campaign before, and he is the richest man on the planet. So I don't think that you really want the full force. And he wouldn't be doing this if you really didn't.
Illinois don't. I live in Illinois.
That he does.
You just walk in, give your address and your name, no ID, and go vote.
John Thune, again, going back to him in closing, says that support for the Save America Act is paid influence. Is a paid influencer campaign. It's total BS. And even President Trump called it out today. I want to play this video here for you guys. Take a listen.
I don't think you can politically exist if you're not going to do voter ID and these things. I don't think the people in this country will stand for it. So I'm making my biggest plea tonight. It'll make you, and I'm not doing it for this reason at all. It'll guarantee the midterms. It'll guarantee the midterms. You don't get it, big trouble, in my opinion. If you get this, your midterms, and they know it. For two reasons. Number one, they won't be able to cheat. And number two, the people are demanding it. Every time I go out Save America, sir, Save America Act. We want the Save America Act, sir. That's all they talk about. They don't talk about housing. They don't talk about anything. That's what they talk about. And if you send it up that you're going to win the midterms at levels
Right, a dog
that you
did
can't even
vote.
believe, and you're going to win every election for a long time until somebody screws things up,
The dog
and hopefully
voted.
that won't happen. But I've never been more confident that if we keep these promises and deliver this popular agenda, the American people will stand with us in overwhelming numbers, just as they did in 2024.
All right, so in closing, there you have President Trump. Basically, a lot of people freaked out over Trump saying this. Like, Republicans won't ever lose an election again. And I think Mehdi Hasan came out. Oh, he's saying the quiet part out loud. They're because, of course, their stances are one of, a person like Chuck Schumer, who says that, it's basically going to, this is going to allow ICE to kick tens of billions of people off the rolls. By the way.
So let's just analyze, like, as if we're dumb, what Chuck Schumer is saying. ICE is Immigration and Customs Enforcement. In what world would there be any responsibility for them with voter rolls, the list of people that are voting in each state? Like, just these, what, oh my God. How does that even make any sense? And they say, it's the new Jim Crow, it's a literacy test. Black people won't be able to get IDs. Okay, so black people apparently can get ID to get on a plane, to buy alcohol. But they can't use an ID when they're voting, picking the commander-in-chief. Come on, like, these people, Lou, it's despicable. But what's made worse, we're making this worse, is what the Republicans are doing about it, which is nothing. If the Democrats are saying, oh my gosh, the SAVE Act is an existential threat to our political power and apparatus, what should that tell the Republicans? Shouldn't that be like, yo, if we pass this, they really think they're never going to win, which means they have to cheat.
Yeah, I actually want to bring this up. I saw this from Isaiah L. Carter, who is a fellow New Yorker. So an ex post criticizing Senator Chuck Schumer has racked up 35 plus million views, right? And this is a black man, right? saying, go F yourself, Senator, you're an evil man. As a black man, go F yourself, right? He's basically calling him out for his stances that, black people will be undermined by this law.
Yeah, well, Lou, just pray for me, because if that SAVE Act goes through, I'm not going to know how to use a computer, as the governor of New York said, and I'm going to struggle to know my way to the polling station because I don't know how to use a map, and I'm also going to struggle when I get to the polling station eventually because I'm going to be late.
Crazy.
Usual.
Thank you.
And then I'm not going to have an ID because I don't know where the DMV is, even though the voting station I go to is the DMV. But yeah, it's going to suck. Sad. And I don't have my passport, Lou. So when I travel outside the country, I don't even know how I'm going to get out, because what do I use to get out of the country? It's going to be sad.
Yeah, it's like the Kathy Hoke who she said, black kids growing up in New York City don't know what a computer is. These people are just... But again, that is the update. There's a lot more that we could talk about, but we'll stop right there. Please make sure to subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys think about all of this down below. Is the SAVE Act a paid influencer campaign where influencers all over X are the only ones talking about it? This isn't really... Americans don't really want it, or do Americans really want it? Do you guys want it? Let us know down in the comments. You can find George where?
On YouTube.
My goodness. Where on YouTube, sir?
Oh, George A.
All right, guys. Make sure to go follow him. Make sure to smash the like button. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
This be the last video for the day. Be back tomorrow. Live stream Monday through Thursday, 8 in the morning.
The View is back in the news, ladies and gentlemen, as the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, makes his very first comments about this show since he launched an investigation into The View. They have an overall investigation going on into ABC News, and The View is, of course, part of that. But a few weeks ago, when The View thought it would be really fun to put Jasmine Crockett on one day. Bye-bye, Jazzy, by the way. Bye-bye. She's no more. She did not win. James Tallarico won that round, and James Tallarico also got to do a little appearance on The View. You know, all 12 years of him. Seriously, he looks like he's 12. And by the way, he says the most idiotic things. One of these days I'm going to play some clips, but I mean, let's just suffice it to say, the guy is a woke idiot who, I'm telling you, isn't going to get to first base in Texas. One would hope not. But then
No,
again,
he's not.
he's mayor in New York, so I got to be careful. Anyway, The View.
Thank you.
Again today by the FCC chair. And so the FCC chair is there doing this conference with Breitbart today, making all kinds of interesting comments. And at the same time, you had The View going on in their live show in New York, making all kinds of asinine comments, one of which came from Joy Behar about how she'd love to see the United States start a revolution against Trump, a la the French Revolution.
Once again, insurrection.
What is your gut feel? I feel like we're
Makes
living
no
in the
sense.
reign of terror. Am I the only one here to remember the French Revolution? I mean, I really feel like every day I wake up and he has created more chaos, more misery around the world. The economy is going down the toilet. Gas prices are going through the roof. World economies are suffering. And we're in the middle of this. And I feel like we're pretty much helpless to do anything because the Republican Party will not stand up to this fall. Yeah. That's all.
Hey, that tree.
Yeah, she wants something to happen. We got to do something. She's saying that something has to change. Well, you know, the problem with that show, and look, you're welcome to have your opinion. Don't get me wrong. It's just that unfortunately they only have the same opinion. You know, they have 5 people typically on that show. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes. And they never have a balance. It's always Joy and Whoopi and Sunny. And I don't know the
All happy names, but all 3 are depressed about America.
rest of them, but
Depressed
they all
period,
kind of
probably.
dominate the conversation with their nonsense. And you know, the problem is when you start inviting candidates on top of that, and you just bring Democrat candidates on, you are in violation of a multitude of things. Because the FCC controls the airwaves for all those little local affiliates. They're the ones that give them sort of the license to use the airwaves. It doesn't exist like this in cable, but it does at ABC, the network. So a little, you know, podunk affiliate in Timbuktu says, hey, I want to have an ABC News affiliation, and they get that affiliation courtesy of the FCC. And the FCC says, okay, we'll give you this, but here's the deal. You have to make sure that you are there for the public good. So sure, you can obviously make money and, you know, you can run all kinds of different programming, but you need to be there for the public good. And so the big programmers, like the ABCs of the world or the CBSs of the world, you know, they come in and they got all the programming and they say, here you go, little affiliate. If you're my ABC affiliate, you're going to run that stuff. And so you take it, you run it. And in some cases, over the last few years, the affiliates feel like they don't really have any say because they sign a contract with ABC. ABC says, we're going to give you all our programming. We're going to produce it. We'll give you news. We'll give you The View. We'll give you Jimmy, whatever the heck his name is, at night, you know, and here you go. And then the affiliates are like, oh, okay. And they pay for it too. But sometimes that programming is not so good and they haven't had a leg to stand on because the way the contracts work, they have to broadcast this stuff. Let's go back to Brendan Carr saying this has got to change, and he is making it his mission to start to change this in order.
Hey, Jackson, it makes sense to bring your ID to the voting place. Want to know why you want to bring your ID to the voting place? Because your ID has your signature on there. Your signature is good to match with what's going on with the voting polls. It makes sense. You can't just, oh, this is me, this is my address, and just walk up there. No, ID has your signature on there. So why not have your ID for that? That's the whole point too as well. Your signature, not just your picture. Your signature matters. A lot of these ballots have people bogus signatures on there. Dead people can't sign on ballot or a mail-in ballot. You need your ID, bro.
To give these little stations a little bit more power.
Broadcast television is fundamentally different than any other means of distributing programming because they are licensed fundamentally by the FCC. You have to operate in the public interest. And when the FCC licenses a broadcast television station. Again, different from cable, different from streaming, different from YouTube, different than newspapers. You're licensed by the FCC. That means the government has picked a winner, and the people denied the microphone are effectively losers. And so the FCC uses what's been referred to over the years as a public trustee model. When you are a broadcaster, you're not just looking out for your own narrow partisan interest. You're supposed to represent and serve the needs of the entire community around you. There's lots of different rules and regulations that come out in every state.
Not just the red states, because Illinois, y'all let us go ahead and vote without using our IDs. They gave us our name, you guys our name and address, but we should have had our IDs as well. Because look at this trash right here. Election integrity was bogus in 2020.
There was a yellow banner, and I got into a position where I could see the yellow banner, which said low confidence. Then I started paying much closer attention to the signatures, thinking this didn't even make sense to me because the signature on the ballot that was being compared to other signatures didn't even resemble in any way what they were comparing it to. They were completely illegible. They were just scribbles on the ballot. And
probably need IDs to vote.
One of them is
So I don't know how the IDs work, how the polls work. She works at the poll. She just said it.
legally qualified candidate for office.
You need your signature.
They have to provide
IDs has it.
time and placement.
Like and subscribe.
Qualified candidates. This has been a rule on the books for decades and decades, but the FCC seemingly had walked away from enforcing that regulation, or broadcasters had simply misread the provision as not applying, because the provision does include an exception for things called bona fide news programs. So if you're a bona fide news program, and Congress at the time had things in mind like Meet the Press, real hard-hitting, journalistic programs, you didn't have to comply with equal time. But again, over the years, people assumed that everything is bona fide news, and therefore the equal time doesn't apply. We put out a public notice a couple weeks ago reminding broadcasters that no, in fact, the equal time rule still exists. There is an exception for bona fide news programming, but you have to demonstrate that you're subject to that. Okay.
So this is important. This is interesting. And he's effectively given us the real first clue that the View is going down, because he does not see this as a news program. He does not see this as an entertainment program. And that would be because I guess they talk about so much news. That's why, keep in mind, Bob Iger was trying to encourage them before he announced his departure. The CEO of Disney, he said, hey, we got to go back to being more entertainment. And they said, no, we want to talk about news. We want to talk about politics. And he's like, no, please go back to entertainment. And the reason he's saying, please go back to entertainment is he doesn't want to be in this position where the FCC is coming along and saying, okay, we're going to enforce things like equal rights, equal time rules. So where does this actually hurt the View? It hurts the View because the stations are going to get penalized if they're running the View. That's what Brandon Carr is effectively telling the world here. So if you're the little station in Timbuktu, Kansas, you're like, I can't take that show. By the way, they'd be better off putting their own version of the View that had to deal with local issues, right? That's what people actually really care about. So I can't take that show. And that's what they're going to go and tell the ABC affiliate. And so then all of a sudden the ABC is like, well, if nobody takes our stuff, like, where's it going to go? It hasn't hit them that they could actually stream on YouTube apparently just yet. I mean, they do a little, but not much. So that leaves ABC in a pretty tough place. It leaves the View in a tough place, because if you're depending on having all of those affiliates all over the country, and now they can't take you because you're in violation of all these rules and their stations are going to get fined, then, well, you're kind of, what, right? Did we hear this one yet?
The View had James Tallarico also on. They have claimed that The View is a bona fide news program and therefore qualifies for the exception to equal time. Interestingly enough, that's not a position that is uniformly agreed to even within the broadcast community. So this hasn't really been widely covered, but after Tallarico appeared on The View, again, separate from the Colbert episode, which did air on broadcast TV, a number of local TV stations in Texas did file equal time notices in their political files, signifying that they don't necessarily agree with Disney that The View qualifies as bona fide news. We have a enforcement proceeding underway right now where Disney is continuing to maintain and defend that The View is bona fide news program, and we are working that matter up as an enforcement case right now.
Yeah, so there you go. They're working that up as an enforcement case right now. So The View, I know I keep saying this, but let's just say if I were a host on that show, I'd be looking for another job. No joke. I would be looking for another job because they're either going to cut your salary or they're going to cut the show altogether. It just doesn't make any kind of economic sense. No way, Jose, does this thing make any economic sense. You got the live studio audience. You got to pay all those people. Or maybe they're not paid. Maybe they just come because they want to see Whoopi and Joy. I mean, I don't know who wants to go and see Whoopi and Joy, but maybe they got some fans out there. So they got that, but they have to pay for the coordination. You have what's called a live studio audience booker, because somebody's going to go round everybody up from Target and say, hey, come on over. And then they got to have the person that entertains them during the commercial break, and then they got to have the person that says, clap now. Come on, clap, 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 laugh, laugh, laugh. Boo, whatever. I mean, it's
I'm gonna play another video. She got a video is updated. I'm gonna play that.
Jerry Seinfeld's thing. And
it was uploaded 8 minutes ago, so I'm gonna play it. And then that'll be it until tomorrow morning.
So I think you can get rid of that show. I think you can save yourself a bundle. They got a new CEO coming into ABC who's not going to have a lot of patience for shows losing a lot of money or shows that are in trouble with the likes of Brendan Carr at the FCC. So it's happening. I would start looking Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny Houston right now. This is an important time. We are striking Iran, and we know of more than 5,000 strikes that have gone down. We know that we are ahead of schedule. There's some optimism there. Apparently, a lot of groups want this solved, so to speak. There's some talk out there that Russia has intervened and pleaded with the president to stop this.
Thank you.
He's just committed to one thing only, and that is making sure
like and subscribe.
That we are in charge.
Live stream Monday through Thursday, 8 in the morning.
We don't want these ayatollahs. We don't want these extremists. We don't want the religious nutjob zealots. No.
We do YouTube shorts, YouTube long videos, and live.
You want to do business with us? Fine, Donald Trump would say. Great, but you got to do it without all the crazy overhang of what they got going on. Listen to Donald Trump talking about the possibility of any kind of attack here in the homeland, and think about what's going on right now in Congress where they are refusing to fund DHS. Watch.
Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S. There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown. Because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period. But we have them under, we've got them, we're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
Yeah, so he's upset about that, and rightly so. He can't figure out why he can't get more Democrats on board to the point where he's looking at Chuck Schumer, who used to be so pro-Israel, and suddenly, Chucky boy is standing up for the other side. This is kind of funny. Donald Trump on Chuck Schumer being really a registered Palestinian.
We're going to save America. The Save America. How can they find us? The Save America Act. And I've watched them. I watched Schumer, who's horrible. What a horrible politician. He is now a Palestinian officially. He is registered as a Palestinian. He's taken the biggest turn of any human being I've ever seen. He's gone from totally pro-Israel to totally pro Palestinian. He wants to protect the Iranian people that are quite nasty.
Yeah, so the president's up against a lot. I mean, he's got Jackie Boy, who's the registered Palestinian, then he's got Elizabeth Warren, who smells blood. She's like, I have the ability to control some money on this one, and I'm going to use it. I mean, forget about the fact that you ought to be looking out for the people. You ought to be able to, make sure that you're funding DHS so that you have a Homeland Security Department that's able to confront anything that may be coming our way. But nonetheless, here you go with from the Palestinian to Pocahontas.
Pocahontas.
A war that makes us safer. For the Trump
Pocahontas, you got high
to
cheekbones.
say over and over, there's no money for health care. There's no money for child care. There's no time to pay attention to how families are paying more. But there's $1 billion a day to go to the Middle East and drop bombs on Iran for military
About ammo?
purposes that no one can describe.
Y'all send millions and millions of dollars to Ticket Me
Can
ammo
explain how
in
merely
Iran.
from dropping bombs from the air we will accomplish those ends. No more money. The one thing Congress has the power to do is to stop actions like this through the power of the purse. The military already has $1 trillion. The military
Still there, Trump 28. That's yes.
a simple
Like and
audit
subscribe.
on where that money
Name's
is.
Deunta.
And for the Trump administration to come back and say shovel billions more into a
Thank you guys for being in the
war
chat.
that
Thank
is
you
not
guys.
supported by the
Appreciate it.
American people and does not make us safer makes no sense at all. So I will be a no.
I see. So kind of makes you wonder where their loyalties are. I showed you yesterday the 53 Democrats, Ilhan Omar leading the charge there, the 53 Democrats that wouldn't go so far as to even reaffirm that Iran is a state sponsor of terror. We know it is. That's been well documented. I mean, they did this like just a couple of years ago when Biden was in office. They had no problem. The whole vote was like just whatever it was to one. And yet now, this is what was Ilhan the one? I don't know, but like now we're dealing with this because they have serious TDS. Like this is TDS 2.0, and that's a much bigger, stronger case than the original TDS back the first time around. It's unbelievable. And they just said, we're going to deport. Forgive me. We're going to deport. We're going to defund. Here's Jayapal, Representative Jayapal on a bunch of nonsense. I'm going to tell you why she's just dead wrong.
We really need to, as soon as we get the gavels back, we have to dismantle DHS and ICE.
Native Americans. I'm a Native American myself, born and raised. So yeah, I'm gonna keep on wearing my hat. Everybody's welcome to this channel. You don't like my hat, that's okay. You can still be on the channel. If you a bot, I'll block you. Other than that, let's continue. Everybody's welcome.
And we have to reconstruct.
I'm not forcing nothing on nobody. I'm just showing what I like.
Remember, don't let people tell you that these are agencies that have always existed and they need to exist. They didn't exist before 9/11.
Wrong. And I got a great little graphic right above my left-hand shoulder to show you. You have customs, right? 1789. You get INS. It started in 1891. By the way, 1790, the Revenue Cutter Service. Anyone know what the Revenue Cutter Service was? It's like a game of trivia. See how many historians I have out there. It turns out the Revenue Cutting Service was actually the original Coast Guard. So all of these things wind up eventually getting funneled into what we now know in modern day is DHS.
It's crazy how a hack can trigger people.
Okay, like they all
She didn't trigger
in some way,
nobody.
shape, or form as entities onto their own. So in some ways, they were more nimble and probably more powerful. And then after 9/11, they decided to combine them all because they wanted to make sure that the left hand was talking to the right hand, etc. So they merged. Okay, to use a business phrase, they all merged and they became DHS. But there are a bunch of know nothings sitting there trying to tell us that this was not ever around, that it didn't exist. This is all a modern creation. It's wrong. It's just flat out wrong. And Jayapal, you ought to know better, or maybe you don't. I mean, because I realize that a lot of you just aren't that bright. I mean, if you were smart. he wouldn't be a Democrat.
Party of slavery.
Although they made
Ku Klux Klan.
that I don't know about, right? You know, you look at those Minnesota fraudsters, and I'm telling you, Ilhan Omar, I find that so suspicious. The $250 million for feeding our future, and then suddenly she's worth $30 million, and her husband's at this VC firm. He's already been accused of fraud
2020.
on multiple occasions.
Never surrender.
I think there's there. We'll do more on that tomorrow, but I want to go back to the Strait of America. It kind of has a nice ring to it, right? You see, we have the Strait of Hormuz there, and it's not letting anything through right now, and that's been
Thank you, beautiful Bill. Thank you.
Get to the CNN story.
I go live Monday through Thursday, 8 in the morning. I live stream about like 3 hours.
Oh, maybe. What am I? Yeah, I think. Oh, yeah. Here.
Unless something big comes up, I'm a live stream.
Guys, because this is important. Actually, we've had a few different things going on this one. We just have the wrong lower for you. Here we go. See, this is how you know it's a live show. I'm such a perfectionist. I would never allow that if it were taped. It's actually the entire reason I do a live show, because I'm such a perfectionist that we would have a hard time turning the show every single day. I'd say, fix that. And now I just have to wing it. And you get to see the good, bad, and the ugly. But anyway, Donald Trump coming out just a short time ago, maybe about an hour and a half ago, and said,
thank you guys. Thank you.
In the last few hours,
appreciate that.
And completely
name is
destroyed
Deunta.
10 inactive mine-laying boats and or ships, with more to follow. President Donald J. Trump. So the Strait of Hormuz is a very, very important little narrow passageway of water that's right next to Iran. And Iran has kind of had this clout, if you would, because they have that. And so Donald Trump wants to control it. He wants to lock that thing down and make it, I don't know, shall we call it the Strait of America? Kind of has a nice ring to it. Of course, everybody's out there on social media putting these pictures up. We saw oil all over the place today. Oil was plummeting earlier in the day because we had Chris Wright, who's our energy secretary, say this. I'm going to play it for you, but I'm going to qualify this by letting you know that Caroline Levitt said he was misspoken. It's not true, but at least understand why the markets for oil, that is, were so wild today. Here we go.
We are having restrictions of flow of energy through the Straits of Hormuz right now. We announced that we will step into the insurance market and insure tankers to go through. A large oil tanker went through about 36 hours ago. I think you will see more of those coming.
So apparently they haven't gotten one through yet. So that's why we saw such volatility in the markets and in oil, because it looked like, okay, wow, like they're getting it through. All's going to be good. And, hey, they control 20% of the global supply. Heck, we got a lot of oil.
George, good morning.
That's the good news. And we got Venezuelan oil. So we'll be fine. China, not so much. India, not so much, because they get their oil from these guys. Somebody said, hey, why not call it the Straits of Trump? That's kind of an inverted look at the map that I just showed you. There's Strait of Hormuz, Strait of America, Strait of Trump. We shall see. I'll tell you, we're going to have a lot of influence before it's all said and done. A reminder, if you're looking at this market and saying, wow, like this is a lot of volatility, what do I do? Well, I'm a long-term investor, unlike our friend Don Bacco, who's here in the chat right now, and he's in and out and everything.
This is my page.
Because he's a trader, and that's what traders do. But if you're a long-term investor like me,
check it out.
Buy and hold, and typically that works out well in the end if you find the right companies to begin with. So we can help you do that at 76 Research. We have 3 portfolios. All of them have done enormously well, all beating the S&P. And just look at some of the stars there in that. Well, I love the inflation protection portfolio. I know it doesn't sound exciting, but I mean, it's on fire.
Go ahead and cut it off, you guys. It's been streaming about 3 hours. I'll be back tomorrow, 8 in the morning. I thank you guys. Like and subscribe. And make sure you guys hit all. Thank you.